good? What up, what up? Right.
My money don't jiggle jiggle, it folds. I like to see you.
Hey, Drews is here.
For sure.
Thank you very much, Drews. All right, we're getting started. All right, and welcome everyone. Welcome. Drews with the Prime sub, 40 months. Is today your birthday? It's not very clear. It is. It is indeed. I am now ancient. I am now 37 years old. What's good, Tony Hayabusa? How's it good? BVX, what's up? Happy birthday. Hope you have a good day. Thank you. What's good, McKinney San? We got KBG in the chat. We got the Ray Gun here. We got McKinney San. We got Antson. We got, who else is here? Hot Cosmos. Good. Glenn Bozzy, what's up? Blood, Sweat, and Tears. My Zombie Inside. Sakura. Panox. What up? What's good, Casualty Cam? Share birthday? Well, happy birthday to you as well. Now wait until you hit 40, man. That's deathbed status. Dude, 40 is crazy. 40 is crazy. Alright, welcome on in, everybody. Welcome on in. Happy to have you here. Happy birthday, thank you. Harmony, how's it going? Thank you. Quadman says, happy birthday. Appreciate all you've done for the Destiny. Thank you, Quadman. I appreciate that. We got a lot to cover today. What up? VTX, what up, everyone? Just turned the big 60. VTX, you turned 60. Let's go. Retired status, dude. Got that, what is that? You're senior citizen almost now. I think you might be there. What age is senior citizen status? What are you playing nowadays? We've been playing Destiny 2 and we playing Power World a little bit. That's about it right now. Apparently Warframe is absolutely killing it though. Warframe is crushing it.
Jiggle, it folds.
Oh my god!
Wiggle, for sure.
Anonymous is gifted 5. Thank you so much. I'm trying to fix this light here. Ugh! Just got blinded, dude. It's this freaking cube behind me. My face is so dark, dude. This backlit. The cube is too much, dude. Unfortunately, we cannot have the cube. Retired at 50? Nice. I've been hard into Diablo. They made some nice changes. Very good. Yeah, there's a bunch of good games out right now. What is this? What's this light? Oh, this lighting. Just making me look terrible. I'm trying to fix my lighting up a little bit. I got this like giant green screen that I set up. I'm working on figuring this thing out. And it's not set up yet. But soon there will be a big green screen set up for the stream. It'll add to some funny bits and stuff. But for now, we're using the normal setup. It's good, Brestoff. How you doing? Welcome on in. All right. Let's see here. All right, we got some news stories to cover here. This story has gotten out of hand, dude. This story, have you seen this, chat? God damn. This story has gotten absolutely crazy. There's like 5 new updates to this story. What the hell happened? We're going to get to the bottom of it. All right, be prepared. Be prepared. It's about to be a spicy day for sure. Looks so different behind me? Yeah. It's good, Ant. This is absolutely insane. We have several new updates to this wild and bizarre story of a Destiny 2 player allegedly attacking a former Bungie communications manager. So where do we begin? This all started when they posted on Twitter on July 26th. This was posted, which was some Destiny players really hate me apparently, with a picture of a gash on the side of their head. And this is crazy. Totally unacceptable, by the way. Then there was a reply to this, though. And the reply to this, when someone said, "Girl, what the fuck happened?" They said, "I got cornered twice at GCX." And then GCX responded saying this incident did not occur at GCX. This was at the airport. And we told them to contact the Orlando Police Department. Which was then followed up by that post then getting deleted by them. And they gave a response as to why they deleted the post, right? Like they deleted the post where they said, "I got cornered twice." And they said, "I deleted that because I realized how misleading it sounded. Quote, I got cornered twice while at GCX is what I should have said." So okay, wait, read this correctly here. I got corned twice while at GCX? What is corned? What does that even mean? What does it mean to be corned? CORNED. Someone said that's naughty? Like, well, the problem is they're clarifying it and they're saying, quote, "I got corned twice" is what I should have said. Yeah, like they're Detective 10P is on the case. So she said, "I got cornered twice at GCX." That gets deleted. And what she said she should have said was, "I got corned twice." I did. I think we're living in a simulation, dude. I swear. I swear. What is even happening anymore? Someone threw corn at her? A corn dog? Someone hit them with a corn dog? I don't even know what this means. This is like some new internet slang. She clarified. Think about this, though. This is a deleted tweet right here. This one's the deleted one. I got cornered twice at GCX. 6 words. She changed it to I got corned twice while at GCX. That's the only thing that changed in the statement was cornered to corned. I don't even think this is a word. This is the most bizarre communication I've ever seen. And I think the part that's even more baffling to me is that this was the communications manager at Bungie. Like, I'm something. I'm something of a communications expert myself. Like that meme. I'm something of a scientist myself. Like, how you're telling me that communications is your expertise, and this is how we are talking right now. What is happening right now? I we need a whole. I need a whole twit longer on what corned means because I have no clue. I've never heard this terminology. Someone said to look it up on Urban Dictionary. Oh, good lord. Urban Dictionary. No, there's nothing on there. I'm not sure, but to their credit, right? This, you might think, okay, well, is this whole thing fabricated, this whole thing fictional? To their credit, there is evidence. And I appreciate that this was shared. Thank you to them. They're definitely clarifying the situation pretty heavily. They said you only see clarifying as backtracking when the very thought of accountability terrifies you. So anyway, this was from day one at GCX, by the way. And I'd just like to reiterate that the reason people had to wait until I was off the floor and by myself is because I was always surrounded by people, and GCX's security is phenomenal. Had it been any other convention, it would have been so much worse. What? So this is what it says. This individual is escorting Dirty F and Hippie back to her hotel via boat here at GCX because some brave dude from the Destiny community got in her face about her, quote, ruining the game. Laughing emoji. Wow. This is crazy. Now, this is a third-party person sharing a photo of this. So this lends a much higher degree of credibility, right? Someone, it would seem, cornered her? Corned her? I mean, I don't know what we're. I'm assuming that maybe corned is like missed a typo somehow. I'm trying to work within the confines of the logic we got going on here, but so someone would have seemed to have cornered her on day one and got in her face about ruining the game. It's a picture of her that she put the words on it. No, this is his story, I think. This would be his story, right? Like he shared this on his, like this looks like this is his handle, right? Or no? She had corn thrown at her. Where did they get the corn from? I saw no corn. If there was Mexican street corn at GCX and I missed out on it, I'm absolutely furious right now. But this incident seems as though it happened day one, like they said. People surrounding her, maybe they cornered her at GCX, it would seem. Which also, by the way, like this isn't good. You know what I'm saying? Someone said she looks deeply upset in the photo from all the cornering. This definitely doesn't look like the face of someone that's getting harassed and bullied, but I mean, maybe they're just taking a nice photo with them. Maybe they didn't know the context of what was going to be shared. This definitely looks like someone that's happy and having a good time, but so maybe a bit the not the best optics, I suppose. Then they go on to clarify, I don't stand the hate at all, actually, because if you don't know, this has become top trending. Like, look, there's stuff like this is the video from, we've got a video from Grums, a video from Smash JT. He says, all they do is lie. Former Bungie employee Liana Rupert backtracks on gamer assault claims at GCX. And he's got the photos of it here, right? So this is a pretty uh, intense video, right? And then Grum says women should absolutely go to jail for this and serve the same sentence the falsely accused guy would have received. It's worse than swatting. Jeez. So yeah, we've got this guy saying, you know, Grums thinks Leon Rupert should go to jail for being assaulted. Anyways, didn't he set up a nonprofit for League for Gamers and then funnel money from Red 5 into it? So bringing up some drama with this guy, I guess. So just to give you some context of how much this has blown up in the larger sphere of discourse right now. Like the level of discourse and backlash is massive. It's an absolutely tidal wave right now. They did say I was assaulted twice. This was literally from the first day. So they're saying that they were assaulted during this. That this guy is saying that someone got into their face about them ruining the game, which sounds like the cornering incident, I suppose. The first cornering incident. And then the second one would have been at the airport. So, dude, this is kind of crazy. I feel like all of this, all the information is so dispersed into like 45 different tweets and replies that making any sense of it is bizarre. Like the whole thing just being in a concise twit longer from, you know, start to finish would have been much better. But, you know, it is what it is. We're kind of making sense of it as much as we can. They went on to say, and yes, I have hired security for the upcoming events I have planned outside of Gamescom. Jeez, we're hiring security? God damn. God damn. What's crazy about this to me in a lot of ways is why are people so, if there are these people so mad, right? Like, why are they so mad at her? You know, like she's like a former communications manager. She wasn't even like some higher ranking person. She worked there for like a couple years. You know, if there was someone that people would be mad at, you think it would be Pete Parsons more than anything. But apparently, there's a lot of heat going their way. She was assaulted twice, but has there been any reports of anyone else being assaulted once? I don't think so. I don't know that that necessarily lends like or lacks like the credibility necessarily. It's hard to say, you know. It would be nice if an incident report was written out about this and like or if like a proper police report. She says, and with that, no more talk about this. The internet reaction was more traumatic than the actual assault at this point. I say that half jokingly, but geez. To be fair, I mean, the gash on their head is definitely, you know, it's a scratch on their head. Looks pretty bad, but you know, nothing super crazy, right? Like you can walk and work still, but yeah, the internet is definitely coming after them. They're definitely hounding them to get to the truth of the story. They want to know exactly what happened. You know, people are accusing it of being a fake story. You know, and naturally, people on the internet they're just curious, right? Especially if someone has, you know, somewhat of a history of telling some far-fetched stories, right? Like we mentioned the 67 million thing because it's, you know, it's it's very odd. It's very unusual to say that you were going to get paid $67 million to keep quiet about something, but then you chose not to. And but then you never revealed anything that was like, you know, groundbreaking. So the 67 million thing, unfortunately, definitely hurts the credibility a bit. But this is a different incident, and I think it should be evaluated on its own merits or lack thereof, its own evidence, perhaps. Right. They said, I'm going private because I've got some creator activations I'm working on, and I don't want to make anyone a target for the weirdo squad. If you're a creator, VR and non-VR, I got some stuff coming your way. This person said, the hate is just out of control. I can understand the hate, but I can also understand why you said what you said first and then deleted it and told the truth. You're great for doing that, but people will just not think, even with you apologizing to what you said. Hope you're doing okay. Gotcha. So I think if I understand it correctly, like this was the beginning, and then misspoke and said they misspoke and said they got cornered twice at GCX when technically they only got cornered once at GCX, and then the second time was at the airport, or maybe they got cornered twice at GCX, but then this did happen at the airport. So even though it was misleading and they chose to delete it, I do think a lot of people are going to really have a hard time believing them in the future with things. Because if if someone asks you what happened, what the fuck happened to your head that you got scratched up like this, and you tell them that this happened at GCX, and then later have to change the story of where it happened, that ain't good. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can call it lying, you can call it just being like, misleading, right? This is what she calls it, misleading. It was misleading. It wasn't accurate to what had happened. You can call it what you want. I mean, obviously, people are going to interpret it in different ways. Maybe in the heat of the moment they misspoke or said something they didn't mean to say, or uh, mischaracterized the situation. We're all guilty of doing this at times to some extent, but this is one of those things you really don't want to fuck up, right? And even still, it sounds like some shenanigans were going down at GCX when you look at this, right? You're thinking, damn, because GCX is coming in and GCX is saying, this did not happen. Like GCX says, this did not happen at our event. We paid for like extra security so that this would not happen. But then, unfortunately, it seems like some other shenanigans did happen, I guess. And there's not much you can do when you have just a bunch of people in an event. Like, you can't have, 5 bodyguards following around dirty effing hippie. That sounds insane just to say out loud. You can't have 5 bodyguards following around dirty effing hippie so that way, at all times. Like, it's just, there's not really a strategy that's going to work, right? So I'm not sure, man. Very bizarre stuff, very strange. I think that they deleted it regardless of what you think, if it was just because it was misleading or if it was a lie or if it was GCX, etc. You can make what you want of that. It does sound like there was some problems they were having at GCX though, right? Or do you think that all of this is just a bunch of bogus? I mean, this seems pretty legit to me. Like, I believe this. Who is this guy's Instagram channel? Can I pull up this story myself? I can. Yeah, I can pull up his Instagram and I can see his stories. Yeah, this guy's got, this is Steve. And yeah, he would have shared this on his stories. And so, yeah, I mean, you have a third party person that can corroborate the story that they were, you know, at least like being harassed. Someone got in their face, right? About and said, you're ruining the game, right? So this does lend a high degree of credibility. Yeah, the story expired. Like, it's not on their Instagram anymore. Obviously, I pulled it up just now, but it's been multiple days since GCX. It's gone. But I just wanted to pull up what their Instagram stories look like, and it looks exactly like this when you pull up. What I'm saying? Everyone knows how Instagram works, I imagine. But just to clarify, like, this is a third party, another person's Instagram. Someone said this is not assault technically. I mean, that yeah, I guess it's hard to say. We don't know the details of what happened. Um, if it was assault, I don't think that if you get assaulted, you just like casually hop on a boat and smile and go leave the event. I think you probably have like security there. Someone is probably arrested, right? Um, I don't know that you leave smiling and stuff, but that's part of the problem with this, like there's like a weird amalgamation of like things that really did happen, right? Like something really did happen here and something did happen here, someone got in their face in this other instant, but then like the way they're being described or communicated is maybe doesn't necessarily match exactly perfectly to the way we would like, I think there's a certain level of things happening that has congruency to it, where you can see, okay, yep, that's what happened there, and yep, that's what happened there, and that makes sense, and then, oh yeah, they posted this and this wasn't right, so they deleted it. They said it was misleading, so that's why they deleted it. And you know they even said right here, kind of hard to dispute that it was a Destiny player when they were shouting how I ruined the game. So kind of a similar story here. This is the ruined the game guy here, that did this, right? So this is ruined the game guy. And then this guy is ruining the game guy again. I'm wondering, is this the same guy? Is this two separate people? Is the same guy with two separate instances? Even still, though, if there is no police report, how bizarre is that? Because so you're telling me that there's a guy that cornered you at GCX, allegedly, and then hurled something at you and hit you at the airport, and this guy still isn't arrested? Like this is bad. Like, how far are we going to let this go? There better be a police report. You know what I'm saying? There better be like repercussions for this guy. If this is this, it sounds like it's the same guy, or at least they're referencing the same thing, right? It's the same exact words. Ruining the game, ruining Destiny 2, right? It's not about believing anyone or not believing anyone. It's about what does the evidence show and evaluating the evidence. Someone said, assaulted my ass. Where's the defensive ones? Where's the police report from the airport? And yeah, this happened at an airport, not GCX, like she said. Yes, it should be illegal to make false claims and allegations, and I bet oh God. So they're accusing them of doing it to themselves. Like I said, the internet is absolutely hounding them right now. I think we're going to get more information on this, like in terms of the police report or maybe the lack thereof. Like, I mean, I hope there's a police report that's made. Can you make a police report after the fact? Like, surely you can, right? Like, surely you can contact the airport even days later and say, I was assaulted. This person said, this is crazy. Someone said, you deserve to be like this, that you're a narcissistic, compulsive liar. A great example, actually. Your entire online persona is framed figurative reality that you've built in your head. Now the safe space is collapsing and falling in on itself, and you're spiraling. Interesting. Watch, I will admit. Says, what a weirdo. I do feel like there are some people online that say things that are so nasty and so mean that it's probably not even worth it to engage with it. Like, it's kind of like, like there's a level of like people just being like crazy or like way too antagonistic. Might not be worth it to reply. Someone said, did they find the one who hurt you? They said, different folks for that, but the people sending me threats and encouraging those threats, oh yeah. And I think that's in response to their legal team. So they're saying different folks, like maybe the police department. What is even going on here, man? Next time, I'll either ensure that I have a camera recording constantly or allow them to break something on me so it's indisputable. I literally said weeks before the show I was getting threats. It's due to the wonderful security and the amazing people around me that nothing happened on the show floor. Yeah, this is true. We actually did see the threats happen beforehand, and then GCX talked about the security. Like, what a crazy thing, though. Mm-mm. Geez, these replies are crazy. Oh my good Lord. Oh no. Trying to read through everything to get the exact context. As I said, like this entire situation is basically fragmented into 45 different replies. This is interesting here. They said that they were taking a small break. GCX didn't call anything out. They added more context, and we were talking about it when they did. The right people, including police and the airport, at the guidance of GCX folks, are aware, and the reports have been filed. That's the extent of who needs to know. So there you have it. Apparently, there's something filed with the Orlando Police Department. I'm not sure if that type of filing can be made public, if people can find that, but definitely a crazy situation. And like I said, if we get more updates on it, we'll bring you a new video. But let me know what you think about it down in the comment section below. Crazy stuff, huh? What a weekend. I didn't hear about any of this. Someone said if you were her with all of the threats and people not believing him, you just wear some live streaming glasses. Yeah, you run around wearing the Facebook Meta glasses, capturing everyone in 4K. Perhaps, I'm not sure. You know, I'm not sure what would happen. I'm sure that there are people that are saying maybe some bizarre things, like maybe the ruining the game thing. It sounds like, I mean, it doesn't sound that far fetched, but the rest of it is pretty. Regardless of what you think about it, it's just a crazy situation, right? No matter where you stand with it, it's a crazy situation. This is all that anyone's talking about right now with the Destiny 2 and the recent events. Sounds like a bad quality corn dog to me. Yeah, true, true. What a crazy time, huh? It's a crazy situation and the statements don't help. Yeah, whenever you have to delete or change the story, not good, which is why if, for future references for them or others, right? Like if you are going to share this, like, she should have, I'm sure she understood that this was going to be an earth-shattering post, right? Like you don't casually say a Destiny player assaulted me at the airport, like just like all willy-nilly, just like, haha, what up, guys? Doing a TikTok dance. Someone assaulted me at the airport. Like, you don't do that all willy nilly, right? Like, that's like a big, like, that is like the biggest news of the entire year. Like, that's crazy. That's insane. Like, that is the craziest fucking thing of the entire year. So, like, you want to make sure you have it written down and clarify everything so that way people understand or whatever, like, I feel like it was kind of handled in a way where something happened and they like quickly took a selfie and shared the selfie, and that was like the first thing. And then they started just posting a bunch of replies that didn't exactly, you know, tell the accurate situation, it's bad. Yeah, you get the story straight for sure. You got to get the story straight for sure. You know? Happy birthday, thank you, man. What a crazy thing. I think that people are going to forever have a hard time believing it unless they see the Orlando airport footage, right? Or if they see the footage themselves, or if they see the police report that was written down, or if someone gets arrested or something, right? Like then people would be like, "Oh yeah, that's the guy that did that." Like that definitely, obviously that happened then, you know? Someone said, yeah, they said that they know it's a Destiny player because they said this is for ruining Destiny 2. And then that's when they assuming hurled something at her that like scratched her head, you know, which is pretty crazy. Yeah, they yelled something like "You ruined Destiny" is what they said. They did not yell 4K. That would have been insane. They said something like "You ruined Destiny," boom, and threw something at them, which is fucking absurd. They threw the stick of the corn dog. Oh shit. What if they did throw an actual corn dog at them? And it's that straight line is a little corn dog stick. Damn. It's true. Got corned. Yes. Hmm. Very crazy stuff though, huh? What a time to be alive. What a time to be on the internet. Even my cats playing with me leave bigger scratches than what she got. I mean, regardless of the size of the scratch, like you can get, you know, something hurled at you and you could have like a black eye. You could get something hurled at you and you could have a little tiny scratch or a little tiny bruise, you know? Some of the Destiny 2 players, a lot of the Destiny 2 players, they're lacking in upper body strength. So I'm not too surprised that if they did throw something that it would barely do much, you know? Like think about it. If Crimson threw something at you, you know, I'm sorry, Crimson. Crimson's getting absolutely roasted here. But yeah, so it's my favorite is there's like this compilation, there's like terrible videos that I should never watch, but there's these compilations of people that have like there's like people who are like short and they're like doing the fucking javelin event where they like throw a javelin. They like throw a javelin and when they throw the javelin, they cut to the video and it's like the guy catches it and it's like a little toothpick and he puts it in. These videos kill me, dude. So guilty. I should not be watching these. Let's be honest, you know, Drews would throw stuff at you. Drews is huge though. Drews is like a gigantic ogre. Honestly, it looks like she fell and she's making up a story for clout. Was where's the authority in all this? The news presence covering an attack on an airport, I mean. Um, you know, if the idea is you're saying that they fell and then they hit their head and then they took a picture of it and then they said that this was a Destiny 2 player, I think that that is a deep level of like that would be a ridiculous level of manipulation and deceit. And while my personal judgment of Hippie is they're a little bit goofy, they're a little bit strange, and they do tell a little bit of far-fetched stories. I don't know that they're trying. I don't see them being like that personally. I could be wrong though, but I don't see them being like that. I I, I don't know. I just struggle to. I would rather focus on the evidence more than anything though. You know, what does the report say? What does the video camera say? You know, and maybe some people will say, no, 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 they would lie and they would do that. Um, but I just it feels there's something about it. It just feels a little off, right? I mean, it's not within the realm of but this is like some Tanya Harding level shit, bro. Like, do you remember Tanya Harding when they got like they were like, what was that like a ice skater? Someone like fucking took a bat and smashed their freaking leg or something in the Olympics. We're getting into like Tanya Harding levels of fucking sabotage and suspicion and conspiracy, you know? I'm not saying that's happened, just where the presence of authority and news. Yeah, that's the real key, I think, from all of this is like, where is the key from this is the evidence, the police report. And then the third takeaway that I think is the hardest one of all from this is that if this happened at GCX, the first event, the cornering, that's not very good. Like that's making this really amazing event look bad. And then they're trying to, do their best to say like, oh no, GCX is great. GCX is great, and GCX is great. And GCX is awesome. But it sucks that this is like, I don't even know how to describe it. Something off about it, It's like, I don't know. Do you even go to GCX at that point? It's almost like they were talking about going to GCX next year, like they were already buying their tickets for next year, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I feel like if I went to GCX, and I not even if this situation, like in its own separate situation, if I went to GCX and I was just getting fucking crazy shit like this, I'd probably just be like, yeah, I'm good, Doc. I'm good, dog. I'm gonna head out. Is that SpongeBob meme? Yeah, I'm gonna head out. I'm gonna head out. But I don't know, man. It just seems like it's a frustrating thing. I think it's frustrating because I personally think the GCX event is absolutely amazing and so much fun to be there. And I know it's a safe place for everyone. But when you put these like stories online, which true or not true, whatever they are, right? Um, seems like there's some semblance of craziness to it. It definitely makes the event look fucking way worse than it is by far, And it sucks because the spotlight gets put on this negative thing when the actuality of the event is that that everyone went there, had a good time. It raised a bunch of money for charity. It was a really cool, you know, um, you know, homage to Destiny. Like all the Destiny players got to meet one last time for one last hoorah. Self-security, I don't know, man. It's hard to describe. It's hard to describe. I feel like there's certain places that like if it's that bad, you maybe just don't go. Like if there was like I'll give you an example. If there was a marathon convention, right? And everyone's like, "Yo, runners, pull up, Marathon Con. We're going, dude." If I was like, "What is up? It's your boy 10P here. We are going to Marathon Con." Like, no. No. I'm going to get jumped. I'm going to get absolutely jumped. You think they're going to let me go to Marathon Con? They're going to be like, brother, you look at the Steam charts every day. You've made, 480 videos talking about Marathon. None of them were good. Like 4 of them were good. It's like, I ain't going to that, dog. I ain't going to that. If all the people that love Marathon showed up in one room, I'm not in that room. Yeah. I ain't going there. I'm going to wherever the opposite of that is. All 5 people going to Marathon Con, yeah. Like it's almost just like reading the room to some degree, right? It's like, it ain't worth it. It would be good jujitsu practice for you. No, sir, I'm not trying to fight the furries, dude. Hell no. I ain't trying to get into any of that business. And the Steam charts for Marathon is hilarious, by the way. Yeah. Happy birthday. Thank you, Ryan Rollins. But yeah, thank you for talking about that topic though, chat. And I appreciate everyone in the chat being respectful. Some people we get a little out of hand. But the idea is around here with the commentary and the topics is that I want to talk about things that are trending and interesting and maybe a bit controversial, admittedly, but to do so in a way that's respectful to the parties, even if you don't really respect them very much, maybe, like there's going to be times where you watch something or react to something or talk about something and maybe you don't really respect the person that much, but to keep it relatively civil and, focus on um, facts and evidence and stuff, I think is much more helpful. I don't want to have a channel of like harassment and we just say, you know what, fuck this guy, fuck that guy, fuck this person, fuck all them, fuck, see them, fuck them, like not really meant to be a bunch of name calling and slander and shit posting, you know. Mostly it's just like if there's something viral happening that everyone's talking about, let's talk about it and let's see if we can get to the bottom of it because I think it's interesting. So I appreciate you chirping with me about that. We got another big news story here. Are you ready for this one? Bungie killed Destiny 2. And now the Destiny 2 audience has to find a new home. And what is that home? It would appear as though Warframe is the game that is gaining the most from Destiny 2's death. PC Gamer says, as Destiny 2 is laid to rest, Warframe is experiencing massive growth, studio boss says. All right, and if you go to the Steam charts for Warframe, I know the fabled Steam charts. We don't ever talk about this. Oh, whoops. What happened here? What? Whoops. I have to read this part again because I scuffed that up, chat. My bad, my bad. As Destiny 2 is laid to rest, Warframe is experiencing massive growth, studio boss says. And if you go to the Warframe Steam charts, right, the fabled Steam charts, where no marathon player wants to be found, you can see that over the last 6 months for this game, it had a pretty good audience, you know, 50, 60, 69,000, and 55,000 at its low points. And over the last 6 months, it's had some pretty substantial peaks, almost peaking in July as high as it's ever peaked before, which is pretty crazy. And now it's rocking at like 80,000 at its high points and 69,000 at its low points. Pretty damn good. Digital Extreme's president, Sheldon Carter, says the studio was worried that Warframe had peaked, but these days it's doing better than ever. Pretty crazy, huh? You never know what's going to happen with your game. You think like, oh, everything's going so good, everything is, you know, hunky dory and consistent, and then all of a sudden some other game comes out of the woodworks and crushes you, or maybe people just get burnt out all of a sudden. But it's not the case for Warframe. Warframe is super consistent. With Destiny 2 now fully embalmed, I find myself wondering, as do a great many others, how did this happen? A new game business interview with Sheldon Carter, president of Warframe developer Digital Extremes, has me pondering that question even harder. It turns out that while Destiny 2 was floundering, its foremost rival was enjoying, quote, a few years of straight massive growth. Hey, listen here. You don't have to dance on our grave, all right? You guys didn't implement the same things we did. If you look at the last 3 years of the game, okay, we go back to, look at this, 2024, they're hitting like 100K. Dude, after 2024, literally after Lightfall, this game started gaining big traction. Yes, the peak started getting pretty higher. This is the 3-year map. Sheldon said that the original Destiny really hit us when it launched in 2014. Did it really? Let's see what happened with that. So in 2014, so you got like September 2014, they were at 26,000 players. And yeah, like the first year of Warframe had a lot of decline actually. Let's zoom in on 2014. So this is their launch. September 2014. So this would have been the launch of Destiny 1. 26,000 people online. I mean, that would have been, the numbers on Destiny would have been, you know, insane, would have been off the fucking charts, right? But this game was on Steam at this point, and Destiny wasn't even on Steam. So, not competing against the Steam audience yet. Yeah, they just had a pretty small little niche game at this time. Well, over a year after Warframe's 2013 release, and his initial instinct was to aggressively compete with Bungie. But that changed over the years, and like others at Digital Extremes, Carter doesn't see the end of Destiny 2 development as a welcome development. Yeah, it's not good. Watching all of your competition die is a good indicator that the genre that you're in is maybe just not as iconic or maybe not as lucrative as others, perhaps. It's hard to say, right? You could probably still make a good amount of money making a looter shooter game as long as you're budgeting well. But if all your competition dies, it can make you feel like you're maybe next in line, right? Over time, what happens is developers from their team come onto your team. So they're just yoinking up those Destiny devs, yoinking up those Bungie devs. New people who you started, they learned what looter shooters are and how that works because they put thousands of hours into Destiny, Carter said. And so at our studio, it was kind of a bit of mourning when they released that news. The mood in our studio was pretty dour because of all of the connections that you end up having. But while Destiny 2's player numbers were in significant decline before Sony pulled the plug, Warframe has apparently been headed in the opposite direction. I feel like the Destiny players being burnt out on that game kind of led them to bleed at least a little bit to Warframe. It's not the best transfer. Like it's not. When you look at Warframe, you're not like, yeah, this is the game that could kill Destiny. You're thinking more like this game is good and it's fun and it's definitely the second best thing to Destiny, but not exactly the same, right? Not like the same way that you see Call of Duty and Battlefield. I feel like you look at Call of Duty and Battlefield and you're like, these things look eerily similar. Carter said that 4 or 5 years ago, Digital Extremes began to worry that Warframe had peaked and it was time to start thinking about what's next. That kicked off development of Soulframe, the studio's second project, but at the same time, it also brought about some changes on how the studio handled Warframe. You know what's interesting about this is that they had an idea to make another game. They named it Soulframe after Warframe, right? So they kept the same thing. I don't know all the details of this. I wonder how successful this thing is. Soulframe. This thing's not out yet. Coming soon. It's going to be an action RPG adventure game. And we'll see how well this thing does. Right now is a really rough time to launch new games, but these guys really have it locked in with Warframe. But we have seen other studios absolutely crush it. I think like Bethesda made, Fallout and Elder Scrolls, but then they tried to make Starfield. So if you're successful in one game and one genre, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be successful in other mediums. So we'll see what happens with Soulframe. Interesting that they looked to make a new IP as well, though, kind of like what Bungie did. I kind of wish that Bungie had made, another Destiny project, though, not Marathon, but I'll forever die on that hill. We changed our focus on how we were developing the game, how we were promoting the game, Carter said, and now we've had a few years of straight, just massive growth. Now we're in this happy position where Marathon's really thriving, and that gives us the ability to give Soulframe a ton of rope and time to really try stuff out and connect. So Soulframe's going to have a lot of runway, kind of like what Marathon's doing right now, where there's a contingency plan. If the game didn't launch well, they would, give it a few seasons or maybe even a year to see if they could work past the adversity. Unfortunately for Marathon, it is at below 2,000 players at the low point already. 5,000 at the peaks. Dear God, this thing is so cooked, dude. Even Warframe on its worst day is nothing like this. Think about that. And Warframe is like 13 years old. That's something else Digital Extremes seems to be doing differently, where Bungie poured valuable time and resources into numerous, quote, incubation projects that went nowhere. Digital Extremes is moving very deliberately on a single project, Soulframe, which 4 years after it was announced is still in pre-release and not available on Steam. It's crazy. 4 years ago, this thing was announced. Look at this, though. Warframe, right? Dude, look at the... Oh, my God. Look at the peak of Warframe right here. Oh, good Lord. This is the max. Oh, my God. They're doing incredible, right? So their game, their main IP is thriving. And then during the wave of the high point, that's when they're launching Soulframe soon here, right? So Warframe, their main IP, will be absolutely crushing it, and then Soulframe will launch. Bungie and Destiny and Marathon all did it the wrong way. They waited until Destiny 2 was dying, it's on its deathbed, and then they decided to launch a new game. Horrible timing, horrible strategizing, but what can we expect from Bungie? Thank you, Uther, for the $5 donation, and happy birthday. I appreciate that. This is my birthday, so thank you. They said, quote, I think one of the things you learn as you do a second game that you're trying for the same scope as something like Warframe is that expertise doesn't necessarily mean you don't make the same mistakes as you did before. Carter said, it just means you can recover from them a little bit faster. So that's been the journey of Soulframe, relearning a few things that we forgot after so many years, but at the same time using that core audience, which is just establishing communication, building trust with the audience, and taking our time to get it to a point where we feel like there's enough content, enough story, enough gameplay that when we release it to a wider audience, it's going to have its core. But while Soulframe may be the future, there's no interest in stepping back from Warframe. In fact, Carter said skyrocketing prices driven by the Rampocalypse could actually help keep Warframe relevant for years to come. Really? What? The Rampocalypse is helping them? You can play Warframe on your PS5 Pro and it looks sweet, cutting edge, and you can also play it on a 4 generations ago Android phone, Carter said. And so for me, I hope that if console demands aren't able to be kept up with, or people need to look at older hardware because the new stuff is so expensive, they're still going to have Warframe to play because it's a forever game that's always being updated. Yes, a well-optimized game. You love to see it. What is this game, Soulframe? I want to see a video of this. You think this is going to be huge? Maybe this is the thing that fills my Destiny depression. Soulframe Preludes official gameplay trailer 1 month ago. This is it. Lock in.
In ebbing spring, the skies will clot. Our shedding seeds made piles of rot. Odions cast with tempers rare. Red minnows squirm in tainted clay. 3 virtues known, not all recast. For wrath, and doom, and death, our last. Find me, Fawn, or I'll find you.
All right, so there it is. That's some Soul Frame gameplay. We can see some sword action. Jumping in the air, hitting him with the bow. It looks pretty good. I do feel like I've seen other games that are like this, though. I'm hoping that, you know, the magic that Digital Extremes has brought to Warframe kind of bleeds over into this. We'll see. We'll see how well it delivers, man. Wouldn't it be incredible if they locked in and they made literally another game that was as good as Warframe? That would truly be a W for them. I will say that right now, though, the games industry is a rough place for launching new games. It's a rough place. Also, if we could, just a suggestion, listen, just a suggestion, don't shoot the messenger. If we could take all the money that we're making from the Destiny players going over there and make a first-person shooter Warframe game, you know, a separate game, still make Warframe, still make Soulframe, but a first-person shooter game. All I'm saying is, you know what I'm saying? You have my money. You'll have my money. Let me know what you think about it down in the comment section below. You kind of get a feel for it in Warframe, doing the Davari storyline, yeah. If they made an FPS, I'd buy it instantly, yeah. It's a tough time for FPSs, though. It's a very tough time for FPSs. I'll show you how tough it is right here in a second. All right, first, before we get into this, though, this is what happens when there's no more Destiny 2 updates. This is what you get. Do you see what's on your screen right now? This is a real video made from a real person. The Pregnant Lightfall guessing game. This is insanity. The caption says, "Oh no, Rowan had a miscarriage with real mask." AI could never come up with something like this. AI could never. What am I even looking at anymore? What is even happening? What is blessing my eyes right now? All right, we got to go down here. 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 First-person shooter games are dead. There's just no other way of saying it. Look at the list. Call of Duty, dead. Battlefield, dead. Halo, Campaign Evolved just came out. Absolutely dead. Overwatch dead. Titanfall dead. Apex Legends dead. Medal of Honor dead. Quake is dead. X Defiant dead. The first person shooters are dead. You know what's crazy about this? Destiny 2 didn't even make the list. Unbelievable. We don't even get to make the list of shooters that first person shooters that are dead. That's brutal. What is happening to my beloved genre? I love first person shooters. I live for first person shooters. And now this. That's what you want? You want more third person sword slop? How many sword games can you play a year? And why? Why? We need more shooters. You know what I will say though? Power World came out. Shooter game. It's got guns in it. Killing it. GTA 6. GTA 6 is about to probably double this list and murder, 10 more shooter games. It's a crazy time. Someone said, I think Overwatch and Battlefield are actually having a resurgence. Battlefield is cooked. Are you kidding me? Battlefield is beyond dead. The numbers for Battlefield are fucking brutal. Look at this. Look at this. Absolutely insane launch right here. Look at that. 747,000 people.
We've broken the hive.
Look at the fall off though. Down to 50,000. They got 80,000. I mean, to be fair, it's still a decent sized audience, but man, the fall off is crazy. They had it all. The fall off is absurd. They didn't even mention fucking Arc Raiders on this either. Arc Raiders isn't a first person shooter, I guess. It's just shooters. All my games are dying, dude. Excuse me? Arc Raiders is hitting 35,000 players at its peak now. Dear God. Oh, good Lord. What happened to Arc Raiders? What? Dude, the fall off of this game is absurd. God damn. Marathon is about to sweep all of them away. Yeah, on the list of things that will never happen. Someone said Overwatch. Where's Overwatch doing right now? Overwatch had a pretty lukewarm start on Steam. It only has been on Steam since 2023, so it's never been the biggest Steam game, it would seem. I don't know. Very unusual. I haven't looked up Overwatch much. God, 31.5% reviews. People are hating on Overwatch. Had 165,000. It's not doing too bad right now. Overwatch is definitely not doing too bad. Since February of this year, it started cooking up again. But the trajectory is going downward, that's for sure. I don't know why you're so surprised. It was inevitable that Arc Raiders would hit low numbers. I don't know that it was inevitable because you look at Warframe and you're like, hey, what the hell is even this? How do you just keep winning? Why do you always win? At the end of time, there will be fucking 3 games, and one of them will be Warframe. These spikes are insane. The spikes are just new drops. Their graph looks crazy because it's 13 years old. That's why it looks so crazy. It's like, because it's a longer time span. If you were to crunch it down to like a 1 year time span, it looks more like this, right? So it looks like 60,000 up to 175,000, back down to 70,000, up to 160,000. Right? Warframe has had a lot of content to it. Arc Raiders hasn't. Then do that. Then put the content in it. What do you mean? This cannot be acceptable. Put the content in it. Do whatever Warframe is doing. These guys got it figured out. These guys got the king of consistency going on right now. Like, if you look at the Arc Raiders chart, this will actually depress you. The game is great, by the way. I'm not hating on Arc Raiders. But look at this chart. This is a chart of crippling depression right here. 500,000 players for 3-4 months. Right? And now we're down to 35,000. You know? That's crazy. The fall off is absurd. The fact that a game like Warframe is literally outclassing Arc Raiders by double the population right now as we speak, 63,000 to 30,000. Think about that. How, like, this game had 481,000 people on it for multiple months. Think about that. Warframe's highest peak ever was 5 years ago. It was 180,000. Arc Raiders had like more than double the population. Almost fucking more than double. For months. It's crazy fall off, so I'm saying. Arc Raiders said they had a 10-year plan with barely 1 year of content. SMH, yeah. I think that everyone's trying to figure it out and trying to navigate a turbulent time. Some are doing better than others, right? Everyone's trying their best, you know? It's not like Arc Raiders devs don't care or something. Like, they're trying, you know? When we're evaluating this, it's kind of like, look at the stock market, right? Go look at Tesla stock. Go look at fucking Walmart stock. I don't know. Go look at anything. There's a bunch of different stocks out there. They're all trying to, you know, increase shareholder value and stuff, but some of them do better than others, right? Like, it's just the way it goes. And Arc Raiders is doing it pretty. Arc Raiders are struggling for sure. It's not at like marathon levels of, you know, crippling depression yet, but it's at this rate. I think that Arc Raiders could be looking like marathon by this time next year. If it keeps going this way, Arc Raiders will be like at marathon levels, which is absurd to even say. Because that would mean that Arc Raiders had way more success and then lost it all, whereas Marathon had like no success day one and of course lost it all because it never even hit 100,000 people in the first place. Warframe cares about the player, not the money. That's probably a part of it. Where's Unlucky 20p? He's gone, dude. He's gone. We're launching Destiny 2. What's the next big game you're looking forward to? I'm looking forward to GTA 6, of course, and there's a few on the list. I got corned. The Cube, yeah. When does that come out? When does the Cube game come out? I had like a list of games that I was looking forward to. I'd rather play First Ascendant than Marathon. Yeah. Not everyone's going to have the same taste, you know? That's okay. Unfortunately, Marathon is It's not Destiny, that's for sure. It's not having a Destiny success. Back at it again in the banner. They disabled the armor set from Gambit now. Happy birthday, and hopefully you have a nice day. I'll stay for a bit, then I'm probably gonna go. Sounds good. Good to have you here. I'm having a good day. Solo dungeon? Yes, thank you, McKinney-san. I need a good Titan build. Let's do a solo dungeon. List off the Destiny 2 dungeons in chronological order. I'm loading in. Grabbing a Coke while I... Oh, shit. I got my year one Wii back out. The year one Wii? What? How did that track me? Peregrine Greaves is an actual plague, dude. Huge teams. Everything from Atari forward, yeah. I think that the nostalgia games, I could be wrong, but I feel like they keep me entertained for a little while, but they lose their magic, you know? Like, they don't have any, like, vicious monetization strategies. Or, you know, stuff like that, so it can't keep me as engaged, I suppose. Oh. I'm only joking, of course. I don't know, every time I play a nostalgia game, I play it for like 45 minutes and then I get bored. Something wrong with our brains nowadays. We've been scrolling too much, you know what I'm saying? We're doing too much scrolling. TikTok has fried our attention spans. Did you see this? There's this thing about digital dementia. Digital dementia. Do you see this, chat? This is a real thing that's happening. This is the first generation ever where IQ is lowering. IQ is getting lower. Can you believe that? Honestly, I think it started with Daruz. He's borderline brain dead. Like, I'm surprised he can actually, like, put his clothes on in the morning without some help. But this is the first generation where people's IQs are lowering. It's a real thing. You can look it up. Look up digital dementia. I think I'm making it up. Oh. I was trying to hit that golden gun with my wall. Happy birthday. What's good, Akuma? Happy birthday. To me, I guess. Thank you, I meant to say. I said it back to you as if it was your birthday. It's everyone's birthday. It's my birthday, it's your birthday, everyone. Hey! Dumb people are happier. Maybe that's the play. Maybe we, like, fucking... How do we Dunning-Kruger ourselves? You know? How do I lower my IQ? If I could lower my IQ to be as low as Daruz's, I would probably be at least 3 times as happier. You'd probably like max out on happiness stat if you could be as dumb as Daruz. That's what we need to actually get into is anti-intelligence pills. That's what I'm talking about. I'm gonna start scrolling on TikTok for 12 hours a day, give myself digital dementia, and then I'll be happier. This is a bulletproof strategy. In all seriousness, it is a real thing that's happening, though. Dude, I can farm off my... I was farming off my Vex linear fusion rifle shots off the freaking bots in the middle of the map. That was beautiful. Alright, I'm playing the Crucible. I stay in the Crucible, dude. My game's stuttering, but we stay in here. Oh my god! I popped my hammer and I was 1-hit kill. That was fucked up. Dude, I was about to kill all of them, too. What? Trials back? Yeah, maybe. After this. I've just been playing pretty casual. I don't really want to sweat it out too much, you know? As casual as it gets, dude. That way I can just read the chat and have a good time. Oh, I'm dead. Oh, fuck. What you been up to, Nether? Get his ass. Oh! Dude, I just got my linear too. I was about to freaking pop that guy. Bad about it. Gears of War put out a multiplayer preview today. Oh shit! Let's watch that for sure. Let's watch that. Gears of War is exactly the Giga Chad energy I need after being subjected to marathons. I don't even know what you call that. Gears of War is the anti-marathon in terms of aura and energy. 12-man horde mode? Say less. All right, let's see here. Gears of War. Multiplayer. I feel like I'm getting more stupid as well because I just use speech to text, so I forget how to type things out. And then the car drives me around. Like, the car has full self-driving. So I don't drive. I don't type anymore. I don't really think as much. I just use fucking speech to text. Like, my brain is not as stimulated anymore. You know what I'm saying? My brain is probably shrinking to the size of a fucking walnut, dude. It's bad, dude. It's real bad. What is happening to human civilization? What is going on anymore? Oh yeah, we're cranking up the quality. 720p, get the fuck out of here. I want 4K, 60 FPS. Hell yeah. This is the Gears of War E-Day official multiplayer reveal. Let's see what we're cooking up.
Back in your hole.
Hell yeah.
Welcome to the fight, Gears. The city is overrun with locusts. Bastards are dug in deep.
It's game time. Locked and loaded.
Be on the lookout for these breaks in the field. This city is under locust control. Happy hunting.
Here they come. Placing disruptor.
Defusing the bomb!
Deploying drone. Let's take this city back.
Nice. You got crits on him? Oh yeah.
Is that all you got? Chew on this, asshole.
Nice. Awesome. Oh, we're just getting started.
The squad is at the heart of every Gears of War experience. Whether it's in the stories we tell or the modes we build, being a Gear is all about fighting alongside someone who has your back when shit gets intense. Our players have deep connections to their own squads. They tell stories about lifelong friends and family that grew up playing Gears together. Strangers they met in battle and became bonded to through the game. That feeling of fighting side by side is at the center of E-Day's multiplayer modes. And today, we're excited to dive in and show you more. Welcome to
Oh shit, Hordes, this is gonna be sick, dude. Everything about the aesthetic and the Metallica playing, this game is the anti-marathon. This game is about as full swinging on the other side of marathon as well. And I love it, dude. I love the aesthetic, the music, the gore. Dude, this is awesome. I'm looking forward to this. I'll be playing this.
Horde Siege. It's an all-new 12-player evolution of Gears' legendary Horde mode. Horde Siege evolves that iconic, back-against-the-wall Horde experience that Gears is known for, with larger, more unpredictable, more cinematic, and more memorable battles for you and your squad. This is 3 squads fighting through their own objectives, crisscrossing with each other through the largest and most immersive multiplayer maps we've ever made. But before you go, you need to choose a class and gear up.
Each class has its own tactical gear to match its strategy, as well as progression journey that unlock loadout weapons, armor mods, and tactical gear mods so you can tweak your build to your own personal playstyle. The Assault class is about controlling the battlefield with mid-range weapons while stunning waves of incoming enemies using the Sonic Disruptor. Marksman focuses on precision damage, especially useful with Horde Siege's longer sightlines, while the Pulse Drone attacks Locust units for you and your squad. The Breacher is a point-blank cruiser that pushes hard into the front line to make risky plays, using an adrenaline injector to refill health and reduce incoming damage. And the Medic is a mid-range revive specialist, focused on keeping your squad on their feet while under fire. The Stim Vaporizer revives any gear, even from other squads, within range. Depending on the mission type you've chosen, you'll get a mix of main objectives that will have you moving around the map or hunkering down in a location. These objectives give you more variety than ever before, but they're still focused on the Horde feeling of defending and clearing waves of unique enemy combinations. In Horde Siege, this means securing and protecting rigs, large COG recon devices that have been deployed around the city to scan and map out the enemy's underground tunnel network. They are critical to the defense of Kelowna, but have the unfortunate, noisy side effect of attracting locusts whenever they're activated. Also scattered around the map are secondary objectives. Quick, timed side missions like taking out a high-value target, defusing locust explosives, or delivering a power cord to juice up an active rig.
Secondary objectives are optional, but they earn in-session squad perks, boosting your squad's abilities, as well as weapon parts that can be redeemed after your session to upgrade your favorite guns. As you knock off objectives and kill locusts, your squad earns energy. This can be spent at supply caches. There, you can upgrade squad perks, grab equipment like grenades, sentry turrets, and razor mines, change your loadout on the fly if you need a different weapon. Your objectives will often have you cross paths with other squads, and these are really unique, kind of magic moments in Siege, like running into another squad's defensive setup and helping take out some of their waves, or when you both get assigned positions near each other, it can set up a joint kill zone. But a huge relief when your whole squad is DB&O'd and you see a group of Gears come sprinting around that corner with a clutch revive.
If Command delivers a supply drop, any squad that fights to secure it gets a share of the rewards inside. The first one in gets the best stuff, so it's often a quick decision if you can spare the time and effort while managing your objectives. But the most intense multi-squad action hits when our bigger boss appears on the map and things get even tougher.
Invasions can happen at any time during a mission. They add new chaos and challenges to the session, buffing locust enemies or restricting certain actions until they're defeated. And it can take more than one squad to bring these huge monsters down. These moments of 12 players coming together to take on iconic locust creatures deliver this great Gears feeling.
Nice.
Fighting alongside a group of soldiers to hold the line. And of course, anyone that helps gets even more rewards.
That's fucking beautiful!
Once your mission objectives are complete, Command sends in your ride so you can extract. You'll fight through one last intense Horde wave to secure the LZ and hold out until your Raven appears. A successful mission will reward you and your squad. While you don't technically all need to make it back to the chopper, your rewards might suffer a bit if you leave your comrades behind. Earned XP will progress your rank, unlocking new loadout weapons, mods, and equipment. But most importantly, any weapon parts you gained can be redeemed to upgrade your arsenal for the next fight. For the first time in a main Gears title, you can mod our iconic weapons. Some mods will apply small tweaks, nudging the gun towards your personal preference. Other mods are more noticeable, changing what effects you get from hitting a perfect active reload. Or if you want to go nuts, you can even throw a bayonet on your Gnasher. That intersection between how you set up your weapons, armor mods, and tactical gear creates more choice and gameplay strategy than we've ever had before. And of course, when you and your squad combine your builds, it can be the difference that gets you through an especially tough mission. Horde Siege missions mix variety, objectives, difficulty, modifiers, and harder challenges each time you play, shaking things up with things like explosive drone deaths, only perfect reloads, or even friendly fire. Poisons also make a return, meaning the Locust Horde gets more powerful as you play through a mission. If you're looking for a dose of that classic Horde grind, our Horde missions will set you up in one spot, testing your squad against 10 grueling waves of survival. All of these elements, combined with the variety of objective locations on each map, and of course the chaotic fun of mixing in 2 other squads of real players, means you'll never have the same experience twice.
Very cool.
The ultimate squad challenge in Gears has always been founded on versus modes. 2 squads going head to head, trying to rip each other apart with a mix of tactical teamwork and clutch gameplay. We wanted to deliver that pure Gears PvP feeling, but now evolved with E-Day's new movement mechanics. All our launch modes are 4v4, as Locust and Cog squads square off on all new maps. PvP is where you hone your skills. No mods allowed here. Everyone starts with the same loadout, fighting on symmetrical battlefields to claim key weapon spawns across tactical locations. Our launch maps, Park, Battleship, Outpost, Precinct, Market, and Skyward, are all set in and around Kelowna. And they have that—
Dude, one of those maps just had straight up blood flowing out of it. Look at this.
weapon spawns across tactical locations. Our launch—
What a crazy map. It's literally just a fountain with blood pouring down it. Dude, these guys are crazy over here.
maps, Park, Battleship, Outpost, Precinct, Market, and Skyward are all set in and around Kelowna. And they have that classic Gears feel, focusing on cover, fronts and lanes, but with opportunities to use E-Day's new traversal mechanics.
We're starting off with a tight set of 4 modes. Team Deathmatch and Conquest, our new King of the Hill mode, will feel familiar, but with some great new updates. And they're joined by 2 new modes. In Demolition, each squad battles over a neutral bomb and then attempts to plant it at one of 2 of the opposing team's bomb sites. This is Gears PvP battles at their best. 2 fronts colliding, squads coordinating with non-stop action as you constantly flip between attacking and defending. Crucible is a great new mode that revolves around the power core.
Crucible mentioned?
Whoever holds it gains points, but the scoring zone shrinks and it moves as the round goes on. This means the fight is always coming to you. The power core's one charged shot can strip the flesh right off an enemy, so well-timed defensive play can lock in that win. After launch, we'll be adding in new maps, modes, and events to keep things fresh, including some favorites that we're excited to bring back.
Gears of War E-Day is a new game, built from scratch to feel like Gears, play like new. So whether you're a Gears veteran or jumping in for the first time, it was important to us that there was a place to get familiar with the gameplay mechanics. Our short bootcamp tutorial will walk you through the basics, but we've also included a combat training space where you can test out weapons, movement, and even go up against some short Locust encounters to get some reps in.
We have pre-made control schemes for all types of players. If none of them fit you perfectly, you can always customize one to your liking.
When you're feeling ready to pop some heads, Versus is set up with 2 main ways to play. Jump into social to get into the fight and roll through some matches. Or you can even choose a playlist, play against bots as you continue to train your skills. If you're feeling up to it, join Ranked to get sweaty and test yourself in more competitive playlists while earning exclusive rewards.
Almost all our character skins are based directly in the lore, themes, and events of the Gears universe. Our legendary skins are a bit more over the top, celebrating gritty and imaginative designs inspired by the vibes of our brand. When it comes to collecting and growing your own collection of customization items in E-Day, we've taken a more old-school inspired approach. That means nearly every single piece of customization in E-Day can be earned by just playing the game. You'll unlock new items through completing seasonal and event challenges, unlocking achievements, and by earning medals from our classic medal system. Everything else can be obtained by completing matches and earning coins, which unlock items in the barracks. We'll have a few things that are...
What game is this? Someone said in the chat. Really? Really, Brostafa? This is the new marathon update. This is the new PvE game mode.
pay only, but they're limited to our premium edition items and charity or partner content like the Ride the Lightning weapon skin set we've created in partnership with Metallica. Every season, we'll grow our lineup of COG and Locust characters, as well as adding new weapon skins, poses, customization elements, challenges, medals, and events. All of this is to say, there's no battle pass, no pay to win, no bullshit. Play what you want, chase the unlocks you think are the coolest, and we'll have themed seasonal updates that bring in loads of new kick-ass content.
Horde Siege and Gears Versus. Epic PvE battles and tight PvP combat that deliver on that intense Gears action in a totally new game. So grab your squad and join the fight. Early access to the open beta begins August 6th on Xbox, PC, and Steam. And
Let's go, Steam.
To get your hands on Gears of War E-Day.
I'll be there.
See you on the battlefield.
I will be there. All right, that was the Gears of War E-Day official multiplayer reveal. That Horde mode looks like it'd be fun. This is gonna be awesome. I have something to play, something new to grind. I haven't played any of the Gears games before at all, so I'm a complete Gears noob. I'm a Gears blueberry. I was playing too much Destiny, and I played Call of Duty a lot back in the day, and a little bit of Halo, and then obviously an absolutely deranged amount of Destiny 1 and 2. So now we're venturing out and checking out what this franchise is all about. Hopefully this game delivers and is a lot of fun. If not, then, I guess we'll have to report on that. Let me know what you think about it down in the comment section below. Yeah, they said it was August 6th. Was that what?
Weapon skins, poses, new kick-ass content.
Action in a totally new game. So grab your squad and join the fight. Early access to the open beta begins August 6th on Xbox, PC, and Steam.
Early access to the open beta August 6th. We will be there. August 6th is next Thursday. So, Thursday, literally 1 week from now. Open beta access. Oh, yeah. Closed beta? Oh, closed beta, you have to pre-order? Gotcha.
Access to the open beta begins August 6th.
Yeah, I said open beta. It said open beta begins. Open beta. August 6th, next week. Lock in. Thanks for sharing that in the chat. On Steam, too, which is good. I don't have an Xbox, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't have an Xbox. I got Steam, and I got a PlayStation. But apparently we're doing like a PlayStation blackout. Is that what's happening? I was looking for this news story. Yeah, we have badges for the birthday stream period right here as well, I believe. Power World. I'm just checking out some different news stories here. Let's see here. All right. There is a massive PlayStation blackout happening. We're boycotting Sony, not just for Destiny 3, but for the lack of physical media going into the future. They announced that this would go live in 2028, and the gamers are not having it. We're tired of being sold games and then losing our licensing rights. So we got the PS Blackout boycott organized by the game preservation group Does It Play, has gathered momentum as more than 345,000 people have signed a petition urging Sony to keep releasing physical PlayStation games. Wow, that's incredible. The blackout boycott is happening. Do you think that this will have a meaningful impact? I believe it's going to last for a week. Do you think that Sony will care? Do you think that we'll be able to see a noticeable difference in any way? Or do you think that we're just a bunch of ants shaking our fists at gods? We'll find out. Pretty crazy stuff, though. It's crazy that we're getting this much traction and this much noise around this topic. I will say it's sad in some ways that, you know, initially we were really hounding Sony for Destiny 3 with our petition that has 400,000 now. Unfortunately for us, Sony decided to end physical media, and that has completely overshadowed any and all Destiny 3 discourse now. So they're entrenched in much deeper controversy. And yeah, it is what it is, though. Hopefully Sony gets their act together. Maybe they can get a W and keep physical media, give people ownership of their games when they buy them, and maybe a Destiny 3 as well. If not, it ain't looking too good for them in the future. That's for sure. People will still play, says Tony Hayabusa. Especially normies that are not on social media. That's true. There are people that just don't even go on social media, I imagine. But there are a lot that do as well. Not sure what the ratio would be, but there's definitely a good amount that do go on social media. So we'll see what happens. We will see. Mm-hmm. Wait, what is going on here? AMC is doing a renewal of The Walking Dead with Netflix? What the heck? Even people who agree with the boycott will still play. Yeah, well, there will definitely be people that still play just because they already paid the money, right? The Sega news seems interesting. There is a rumor about Sega making a new portable console that could play physical disc or physical media after they called out Sony. Just a rumor, though. That is interesting, Akuma. I'll look into that. All right, so here we go. What are we doing here? Fix this. Here we go. Here we go. Bungie has decided to extend Marathon's PvE mode trial. This news comes to us from Paul Tassi here. He's got an article on the topic. And if you don't know, we previously covered that the Marathon PvE mode it's not doing so hot, you could say. So Bungie has decided to extend it. I'm not sure exactly why, but we'll find out. If you wanted an indication that Bungie's Marathon is going to lean more and more heavily into PvE instead of its purely PvPvE extraction core game, look no further than what's been happening the past few weeks. Which, not only did they launch this, they also, laid off Lars Bakken, who's like the biggest PvP guy at Bungie, and then they also had Joe Ziegler leave, who's like a Valorant guy. So both guys are iconic PvP developers that have been working in the industry for like a long, long time. And so getting rid of the big PvP guys kind of shows that Bungie's strategy now is to pivot as hard and as aggressively as possible into PvE, because they did the extraction thing and they executed it to the highest degree that they think they possibly could, right? And it just did not land well. It didn't land anywhere near where it should have. And so maybe Marathon's earlier vision before all of this was meant to have more PvE integrated into it. So it seems like that's the strategy now, is like, let's quickly pivot and transition Marathon into having a ton of PvE options, a very healthy selection of PvE game modes in effort to grow its audience. Probably while still keeping the extraction. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they're going to get rid of that, of course. Like, that's the backbone of the game. But clearly they want PvE to save Marathon, and we'll see if they can pull it off. Marathon launched an experimental PvE mode, Vault Breaker, and I played it all day on the day it came out. And it wasn't the worst experience ever, but also wasn't nearly as good as a lot of things I've experienced in Destiny 2, if I'm being honest, when it comes to PvE comparisons. When its mid-season update hit, the first of its kind, those experimental modes are only supposed to run for 2 weeks, which was going to be the case with Vault Breaker. But now that has been extended to August 18th, meaning that it will be here until about a month before Season 3 starts. If it's not extended again, that is. Yeah, it seems like they're like, fuck it, dude, just let it run out. Who cares? No reason in taking this thing away when it's giving people potentially a reason to log in. I mean, it clearly isn't moving the needle a whole lot. We're back down to the pretty sad population numbers that we were beforehand. But if there is, some portion of Marathon players playing this, might as well just leave it in until Season 3 launches, because in Season 3, they're announcing an entirely new PvE mode that's going to be built presumably off of this experiment. Season 3, as we've learned, will come with the launch of a new full PvE mode, one not labeled temporary or experimental. All of this is something of a surprise, given that ahead of Marathon's release, questions about PvE and Marathon were hand-waved away by the team. who said they were, as expected, focused on the core PvP/VE extraction experience. But things have quickly changed. Investing heavily in PvE content has become a priority just a season and a half into release, with a big addition in Season 3. Season 2 alone will have its PvE mode running for a full month, in addition to a previous Night Marsh mode, which was often a borderline PvE experience itself. True, there was barely any rooks in that at all. Vaultbreaker has certainly been an interesting addition. It takes Marathon's endgame map, Crow Archive, and removes all the other teams, creating a sort of FPS roguelike where you take in nothing and leave with nothing but currency to upgrade your capabilities and starter kits for the next run. You get further and further, earn more and more, and ultimately try to kill the final boss, the compiler, that most players probably have never even seen before. Given how hard the normal extraction mode of Crow Archive is, it's a bit of a dichotomy, as PvE is easier than PvP/VE, certainly, but also Cryo is not exactly forgiving and uncomplicated. It's really not anything like an onboard ramp to the game as a whole, which it was not meant to be. Maybe it is that map specifically, but it's absolutely a branch off, not some sort of tutorial for Marathon, just because other teams are gone. Yeah, this isn't meant to be super easy because there's still a good amount of puzzle solving involved, but it's also meant to be the pinnacle map of Marathon, so it's kind of a weird in-between spot. And I will say that you can tell that there was a lot of time, money, and effort put into this map, Crow Archive. The complexity of it's pretty deep. And, you know, I actually think it's not the worst thing ever created by any means. Unfortunately, most people disagree with me and they just don't want to play this thing at all. And even though people think I'm #1 Marathon hater in the world, I think that this map is it's pretty interesting in terms of its complexity with, PvP and the puzzles and the raid boss. Like, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving parts. Unfortunately, like I said, even with the PvE, people just aren't that interested in playing it, it would seem. Population and interest in this type of game mode seems to be pretty low. So I don't know. I don't know how you navigate that going forward, right? Usually a game will be successful. And from its like mass success, they can, pivot and transition and build off of that. I think Marathon's starting point is a really rough one because they're starting off with this like massive budget, this big prestigious team, Bungie, and all these devs that have made these iconic IPs like Halo and Destiny. And so they're basically just expected to make like a Fortnite level thing in an instant, again, for a third act, right? And obviously that's not the outcome that's happened. It's been nowhere near that. But I think that when you set yourself up for that in general, you're basically gambling to the highest possible degree, because now you've invested hundreds of millions into this thing and the cards are just stacked against you, unfortunately. If Bungie had delivered and Marathon was a massive success, though, everyone would be fucking, pouring champagne. Everyone would be celebrating. It would be an incredible time, but it's just not. And because it didn't launch really well on day one, now we have to deal with the struggles of this thing trying to become successful. And it's kind of sad to see. Like, if I'm going to be completely honest, every time I have to cover Marathon news, I'm like a little bit sad because I'm like, this thing is the thing that killed Destiny. This is the thing that's going to kill Bungie. And another first-person shooter game dies, which I really like the first-person shooter genre. If you don't know, we did a video recently where we were talking about, look at all these games. Call of Duty, Battlefield, Halo, Overwatch, Titanfall, Apex, Medal of Honor, Quake, X Defiant. The first-person shooters are cooked. One of the most significant things about Vaultbreaker is just how far removed it is from the main game, practically siloed. The only real connection is the ability to spend earned currency from the mode on gear you can use in the core game, but you cannot bring any earned loot in, and you cannot bring any extracted loot out. Very much not how extraction shooters usually work, and that's okay if it doesn't have it. Not everything in the game has to be extraction, right? Like, it could have launched with the campaign, would have been fine. It can have these other game modes that can kind of create an ecosystem where you could play the game in a hardcore way and in a casual way. Probably would have been better to launch the game with this on day one, just saying. But, you know, the attempt to pivot is, I think that this is the best thing that Bungie can do. I still think that it's kind of like, it's like trying to drain the ocean with a freaking a water bottle, you know, just scooping up one cup at a time, you know. It's like, we're going to drain the ocean. It's like, this is just not going to happen, guys. Like, there's I don't think there's any amount of money or effort or developmental, you know, direction that you could go in that's going to save this thing. I think it's just cooked. So as much as it sucks, it would probably be better to throw in the towel early on and work on Destiny 3 or any Destiny project for that matter. You could make a freaking Destiny Gooner game for all I care. Make anything that's Destiny related if you want to stand a chance at making any more money, Bungie. The growing idea here is that Marathon feels like it's going to start separating into different kinds of genres with the extraction format as a base, but only bits and pieces integrated into these other modes. Right now, we're playing an FPS roguelike, which is quite fun and something Bungie was likely to be good at. And that may be true for the Season 3 PvE edition as well. Perhaps a more refined version of this, but past that, Bungie has already spoken about future modes that are PvP only, no E. That could be a variation of the extraction mode, or some believe Bungie may go so far as doing something like a team deathmatch or battle royale. Definitely not doing a battle royale, guys. We don't have the players for a battle royale. Indications are that Marathon may become some sort of a platform for all manner of shooter stylings in the future. I mean, it could theoretically be that. I feel like turning Marathon into this game that has all these different offerings isn't going to work because the population's too small. It kind of reminds you how, like, Destiny, like, I was playing Destiny the other day and it said 50,000 people are online on Steam. So that means with Steam and console, there's 100,000 people online. I couldn't even find a comp match, right? So when you have a smaller niche audience, making all these playlists and all these modes and separating these people, it just kind of turns into a nightmare for a multiplayer game. I think that Marathon, I'm trying to think, what could they actually do that would be successful, right? Extraction failed. This PvE mode failed. I mean, maybe the best, craziest thing they could do would be a battle royale. Like, this is like an actual fucking, this is like a Hail Mary. But if they did make a battle royale, it's probably going to tank. Let's be real. But, you know, these battle royale modes do have really sizable audiences. So maybe some people come over. Maybe people want to play that. I'm not sure. That might actually be their only chance. Like, it's like you're gambling to such a degree, though. It's like, it's ridiculous. This is like taking your rent money, liquidating all of your assets, selling your shoes, selling the clothes off your back, you know, and then taking all that money and throwing it into and gambling it. It's like you're just gambling too much at a certain point, right? There are many hurdles here, of course. The main one is that all of this takes time. In the limited previews of what's to come, Now X game director Joe Ziegler indicated it would probably be a year before this vision came together, whatever it ends up being. While Sony has publicly backed Marathon recently, we don't know how much runway the game actually has. We don't know, but the only thing they've said is Season 5, so I imagine they gave them like a contingency plan of a year. And by the end of a year, if the game isn't doing too well, then they probably will launch Season 5, but Season 5 will be the last live season. It will be the end of service for Marathon. If I had to guess, like if I had to, give an answer to this, that's what I would say. I think that we see Season 3 and Season 4 launch, and then Season 5 is the end of service season. There's also the issue that if you start splitting attention to all these different modes, what about the people who signed up for an extraction shooter? Some are already starting to be annoyed at the pivot and worry the original portion of the game could grow stagnant. Finally, just will anyone play? At this point, it's common knowledge that Marathon's numbers are somewhat dire. The recent PvE release caused a surge, but that has already settled down to where things were before the mid-season update, indicating a fast drop-off. Would a permanent mode change that? Would PvP modes? We don't know yet, but something needs to stick for Bungie one of these days here, or else larger, more ominous questions loom. Yes. And those questions are looming right now, and everyone's talking about it. And it sucks that we have to kind of sit around and wait. You know, like Marathon is the dead game that just hasn't died yet, right? And it's such a crazy predicament. You know, we're gonna look back at this time and be like, man, that was weird. Remember when everyone knew that Marathon was gonna die, but we just had to like sit and talk about it for like 6 more months for some reason? remember when it was like really obvious that this game was just dead and like a waste of time, but like they kept just doing stuff every day. Meanwhile, everyone was screaming Destiny 3. We just had GCX, by the way, and the entire arena was filled with people. Like the seats were at maximum capacity to where there was standing room only, and every single person was shouting, "We want D3. We want," you know what I'm saying? Not one person in the entire convention cared about Marathon. There wasn't even a Marathon booth in GCX. Think about that. At the Destiny convention, the convention that was, you know, founded by Destiny the game, and Marathon now exists, there wasn't a single bit of Marathon art, graphic, like on the walls anywhere. Like there was a couple people who made like Marathon paintings and stuff, but there wasn't like a Marathon booth. There wasn't anything to promote Marathon at all at GCX. And so it's just crazy, man. What a disaster, you know? You just sit around thinking to yourself, I wish that, I don't know what the conversations are between Sony and Bungie, but you just wish that something could happen with Destiny instead, because this is not it. This is just such a waste of time. And I think that in the end, this really just burns Bungie's reputation more and more, right? Like more people just every day just get more sour to them. The last bit of hope that I reserve for any of this is that the incubation project they're working on is real and does turn out to be a Destiny thing. Please, let's say we need to have a seance and make sure that the incubation thing they're working on is a Destiny project. Please let it be. Because if it's not, then we're cooked. Unless they drop Destiny Infinity or D3, something better Bungie's done. Yeah. I think they're probably done either way. They're just too expensive, you know? It sucks because they're located in Bellevue, and they need, like, Bungie's HQ needs to, like, relocate to somewhere else. Does that make sense? What's, like, the cheapest? Bungie is currently located in Bellevue, Washington, and it's making their developmental costs too high for their games. What city could they relocate to that would be super cheap? Like the cheapest, dirt cheapest city in America to make video games in. Bungie for Flint, Michigan. Bungie, it's time to move out to Michigan. It says here the Oklahoma. It's time to giddy up, Bungie, and move on to Oklahoma. You are not paying the bills in Bellevue anymore. It's time to put that building up for sale and move on out to Oklahoma. Wichita, Kansas. Fort Wayne, Indiana. Huntsville, Alabama. Why is it all like, it's all like in the middle there. Des Moines, Iowa. Louisville, Kentucky. There you go. If Bungie relocated to one of these places, we would have a Destiny 3. Think about that. They got that expensive building. for no reason too, you know? The part that's crazy about game development is that the players, us, we play the game on a PC or a console or a handheld or something, right? But we don't know or really care where it's made, right? Like, if you're playing, Pokemon, you don't care if it's made in Japan, you don't care if it's made in America, you don't care if it's made in Canada, you don't care if it's made in Australia. Like, it doesn't matter to you where the game's made. Yeah, a bunch of hick towns. Yeah, why are all the hick towns the cheapest places to move to? Can you imagine current Bungie moving to fucking Oklahoma City, Oklahoma? The fucking blue-haired gang pulls up, dude. Hey, we don't take kindly to you around here. Blue-haired gang pulls up. We're here to make Destiny 3. That would be a real culture shock for them, huh? That would be quite the experience. To be fair, Sony doesn't have much faith in anything. Have you seen how many IPs they have killed? They have killed a lot of IPs. List off the most iconic IPs that Sony has either killed and left in the graveyard or just hasn't developed so people believe they're killed. From most prolific to least prolific, top 10. They could set up an office in a couple giant trash cans and I would still play Destiny, yeah. We need to send the Bungie devs out to India. You know what I'm saying? Go out to India. This is how we get a Destiny 3. Happy birthday, man. Been watching you grow and mature into such a cool guy. Thank you, Absolute Wolf. I appreciate that. So, the IPs that Sony has abandoned and people are most mad about is Bloodborne. That is apparently the one that people are super mad about. SOCOM, U.S. Navy SEALs, Killzone, Resistance, Jack and Daxter, Sly Cooper, Infamous, Motorstorm, Ape Escape. Dude, Ape Escape was my shit. Did you guys play Ape Escape? Dude, Ape Escape was on another level for its time, dude. That was my game. I played so much of that game. I played an ungodly amount of Ape Escape. I was catching those apes. Exactly. I became an ape in D2, yeah. Ape Escape was really good. It had like the little monkeys or whatever, the apes. They had like different like patterns of how they would run away and stuff. And it made it feel like, I think that game felt really cool because it felt like the AI or whatever that's called, the PvE combatants, like they had like certain behavioral traits that felt very unusual to what the games normally did for their time. So it felt like they were like fucking throwing you for a loop. They were like running around all crazy. It made catching them pretty thrilling. What's good, Wyvern? Appreciate that. What's good? What's good? All right, so let's see what other news we got. What the fuck? No shot. There is no way. Marathon DB has already entered maintenance mode? Oh, God. RIP to Marathon DB. Even the third-party wikis just can't justify it anymore. Development paused. Marathon DB is now in maintenance mode, with Marathon's player base too small to justify further work. We've paused active development. Existing guides and data remain available. Thank you for your support. It's over, dudes. It's over. Oh, good Lord. Someone said, well, they're going to have a lot of catching up to do when the game takes off during season 5. Co-parter. Someone said, poor Mylan, stop. Every time I mention marathon, someone types in chat, poor Mylan. Like, they'll have to add at least an entire new map, probably. And don't they know that player count doesn't matter? Yeah, don't you guys know that player count doesn't matter, you idiots? Oh, good Lord. Someone said, they have to add a new map. I'm hoping for either an afternoon outpost or lukewarm cryo. Maybe perimeter with no data wall. That'll really reel people back in. Oh, God. Season 5 will be the 1-year anniversary if it launches March 5th, which I doubt anyone would be playing, as that would be the National Cheese Doodle Day. The National Cheese Doodle Day. Dude, that's what's going to be the marathon killer, the National Cheese Doodle Day. So, as someone who celebrates Cheese Doodle Day, I will not be playing. Dude, the wiki is literally shutting down due to low player base. Season 5, that shit will boost up for a week max, then drop back down. Y'all are riding on copium at best. You didn't read the joke. It was sarcasm. I'm sorry. I'm not going to trust the dudes who spend real time managing and maintain a website dedicated to the game and its lore and mechanics over some Reddit commenter being hopeful. I want the game to live, but this age of copium in gaming needs to end. It's what these companies milk. Then we end up left with our ass in our hands. Shit is so tiring. Downvote me all you want, but it's legit what happened the last 2 major updates. Do you really think that's going to change the 3rd time around enough to save the entire AAA costing game? This is an abusive relationship. Like, the copium ain't even realistic or reasonable from any standpoint anymore. Love the game, but this shit and the fact it has so many upvotes is why we're all about to be let down in a few months. I want the game to live, but extraction shooters are niche and only survive when they are PC games first for a reason. It ain't your fault or any of ours. This game needed PC and console cash flow, and it's mostly getting it from PC. If they ended Destiny, they will end this before it becomes another Destiny situation. Promise you that. Someone said, bro, you're in r/marathon hate. Yeah. Hey, this guy r/ate the onion. Yeah. Someone said, I thought this was satire, so I had to go check myself. It's real. Even the Glazers are jumping ship. Holy shit, that is so hilarious. Someone said, oh my god, that's insane. They're all admitting it's dead. I cannot believe Destiny died for this shit. They straight up murdered Destiny just for this to die on the vine. Marathon fucking died. Destiny was killed. Damn. That's brutal. What a crazy situation, huh? What an insane situation. Oh, man. Mylan dug his own grave. I mean, here's the thing. Mylan just really wanted to enjoy marathon. And, like, the problem is there is a lot of people that are just badgering the marathon players. I think that it's better to have, like, an r/marathon hate, like our own separate web page for discourse. Because there are people that just want to play marathon and have fun. Like my friend Baconator, he plays marathon like every day and he just likes it, you know? It's like, I imagine he just wants to play and have fun. So I can kind of understand where people get annoyed with all the criticism in the Steam charts. But how many people does this fucking subreddit have? I feel like, imagine if the r/marathon hate had more people than the actual r/marathon. Oh man. This is crazy right here. I can't believe this is real. I'm gonna go look this up on their official site. Is this real? Like Marathon DB is just shutting down? What the hell? There's no notice I see on here. Let's find it. To the Destiny players on the fence, I'm not reading that shit. Medicine. Man. That's brutal. Alright, I'll be right back, chat. I gotta go to the bathroom. Give me 1 second. BRB. All right. All right. All right, we are back, gamers. Thank you for waiting here. It's time to see what other news there is going on out there. What a time to be alive. What a time, what a time. What are people chirping about today? Mylan's gonna kick all your asses. Yeah. Yeah. You guys gotta stop. Oh boy. All right, what else is there going on out in the world? This is what people are doing in Destiny 2 right now. This is the Destiny 2 content as we speak. We got Fallout plays, thank you. You all changed my life, thank you. We got Bungie chased the wrong future from Timbo. They doomed themselves. Ooh, that was pretty good. They're leaving. We got builds. A message to the Destiny community one day ago. Destiny players are looking for a new home. That's a good one. There's a lot of good stuff in here. Speedrun, ranking, top 10 titles in Destiny history. Oh. DFP, you can buy this iconic auto rifle. Easily solo flawless Warlord's Ruin. This gun ends games instantly. Yeah, the Destiny players looking for a new home. There is no replacement for Destiny, that's the problem. What happened to Maven? Maven is making Fallout content. She's doing pretty good too. Make sure if you like watching Fallout, definitely watch Maven. And apparently whenever they come out with New Vegas, however many years that is, I'm sure they'll be excited about it. Let's see what we're cooking up here. Bungie chased the wrong future. From Timbo. Let's see what we're cooking up.
So about a month or so ago, when Bungie announced they were pulling the plug on Destiny 2, I made a video sharing my initial thoughts. And that video is different from what I normally do. Typically, I'll script everything out, proofread it multiple times, try to make something polished with edits and music and whatever else is going to keep everyone's TikTok-infected attention spans occupied. However, that video served as just my raw, unfiltered thoughts on the situation. It was essentially me reacting in real time to the end of an era. Now that some time has passed and the situation at Bungie has evolved quite considerably, I wanted to revisit this in a way that's much more deliberate and thought out. As I've always said, your boy's a professional over here. And before y'all crucify me because of the title, my goal here isn't to defend Bungie leadership or go to bat for corporate entities like Sony and Activision. I am devastated for all of those who have lost their jobs, and I still feel like this situation was avoidable. However, reality is reality, and there are a lot of reactionary and emotional narratives circulating that are just naive, quite frankly. So today I want to take as objective a look as we can at this situation, talk about how we got here, how it possibly could have been avoided, and where things are likely to go moving forward. I want to start by going back to the beginning.
Oh, we're going all the way back.
Not that far. This is going to be a lot of info, so buckle your seatbelts, kids. Let's go back to the launch of the original Destiny in 2014. At that time, Bungie was owned by Activision and had roughly 500 employees, which is a pretty standard size for a AAA studio. On top of that, they had help from Activision-owned studio High Moon, which had around 150 people working there, for a total workforce of 650. Obviously, these are just estimations. By 2017, with the launch of Destiny 2, Bungie grew to 750 employees and had help from High Moon and another studio called Vicarious Visions, making the total workforce roughly 1,100 employees.
Yes.
About 2 years later,
I think that was like, wasn't that around the Forsaken era? That was a good time.
Bungie decided to go independent. A lot of people supported this at the time, and employees supposedly pop champagne in the office, which I'm sure HR was a huge fan of that. But in leaving Activision, Bungie lost support from High Moon and Vicarious Visions, which lowered their total workforce to just the 750 Bungie employees. Over time, Bungie rehired enough people to make up for that and converted Destiny into a full-blown live service, free to play game. Now, in my opinion, this decision doomed them.
Damn.
Nearly every major problem Destiny...
I never actually thought about that, but we did go free to play, and it didn't actually like rapidly increase the number of people playing the game. So it was almost like what you're supposed to do with these types of games is you go free to play, and then like everyone gives it a try, everyone can jump in. And to be fair, it is that free to try type of game. You know, you don't actually get the full game free like you do in a game like Warframe, for example. And then we also had that cheater epidemic enter in simultaneously as we went onto Steam. So it did actually spiral out of control a little bit. I wonder what the timeline would look like if we never did go free to play.
Has had over the years originated from this decision. But let's keep going at this chronologically. Like practically every studio at this time, Bungie saw rapid growth and foolishly expected infinite growth. I don't know why every CEO couldn't predict people would go back outside after COVID died down, but thousands upon thousands of people have paid the price because they didn't. During this time, Bungie...
I think the idea for these businesses is as you gain more profits, you just keep scaling up, scaling up, scaling up. You know, in a perfect world, you have a business that is, you know, I don't know if you describe it as like altruistic, but, you know, a business or a company that really loves the product so much that the emphasis is on making the product as great as possible. Unfortunately for a lot of the Bungie devs, it would seem, especially in the C-suite, they are more interested in enriching themselves. And they made a ton of money off of the Destiny franchise, which, you know, it's capitalism. You know, I guess you can't blame them. There's a lot of other rich video game people out there, but there is an element of wishing and dreaming that we lived in a world where the IP of Destiny was, I don't know, loved and appreciated enough that its continuation and it going forward was held to the highest regard. But that was definitely not the case. And once we found out about Pete Parsons' car collection, we're like, oh, now we see what's going on here.
He ballooned to an estimated 1,600 employees. So the same game, Destiny 2, went from having to pay 650 staff to 1,600. Even if you included the workforce of Activision-owned studios into that number, that's still over 500 more people to support, which, if you recall, is the entire size of Bungie itself back in the Destiny 1 days.
Damn.
In case that isn't crazy enough, 200 people made Halo Reach in 2010. Now, there are reasons why some studios get as big as Bungie did. In many scenarios, it is actually necessary. It mostly comes down to the rate at which content is made in these live service games. There is no core group of people working for 5 years on one game. It's a constant treadmill of updates, not to mention all the support you need to upkeep the engine and balance things and find bugs and prevent cheaters and the constant marketing. It's an entirely different beast. At their best, live service games can generate a seemingly never-ending flow of revenue. Instead of getting one massive dump of money every several years, games can make recurring revenue every single day. The trade-off, and this is partially why so many of these projects fail, is because live service games have significantly higher overhead costs to maintain than just a traditional boxed price game. And what makes the Bungie situation unique is they were trying to make several of these live service games at once, not just Destiny. And Destiny specifically as a live service is even more expensive than a lot of other free-to-play live service titles, due to Destiny's updates needing new story campaigns, new PvP maps and modes, new subclasses, new enemy types, new weapons and armor, new raids and dungeons, so much more content than what you would get in an update for Apex Legends, for example. And this problem became so exasperated because those massive yearly content drops weren't even all the content people became accustomed to in Destiny. There were seasonal storylines, seasonal activities, live holiday themed events, a really staggering amount of content constantly coming into the game, which trained the Destiny audience into thinking that cadence was normal and sustainable, which it wasn't, and largely contributed to some of the game's biggest problems, those being FOMO tactics, poor onboarding, and the content vault. Here's a really unpopular opinion. When Justin Truman said that over-delivery line at GDC in 2022, he was 100% right. People often interpret what he said as being this idea that you should purposefully throttle your developer's passion and give your consumers less content. Don't make something a 10 out of 10, keep it a 7 out of 10 so as to not over-deliver and set their expectations too high. But that's not what he was saying. He was talking about content release cadence. It's like if you start giving your dog food from the dinner table, they're not going to sit there and be like, oh,
hey, wait, we're comparing the Destiny players to dogs right now? What the hell?
Thank you, master, for giving me food. I am so grateful. I don't know why my dog voice sounds like Dobby, but no, they're going to keep coming back and expect more. If any of you run, out there, any runners out there, maybe if you really tried, you could hit a 6-minute mile, and that would be great. But could you maintain that pace for 10 miles straight? Unless your name's Nick Bear, probably not. Justin Truman used a train analogy to get this across, but his point was essentially to run at a slower pace that's maintainable so you don't die before you reach the finish line. I would argue.
No, fuck that. Balls to the wall, baby. Capitalism. If you start making it, if your game starts going on the climb up, full steam ahead. Here's the thing about this is that I think it's easy to look back and say, well, after the fact, right? Hindsight. But at the time when you're in this crazy gaming space with all these companies, multi-billion-dollar companies, some of them are multi-trillion-dollar companies like Microsoft. You got to compete against these juggernauts that have, expendable income. They could buy your company and wipe their ass with it like it's toilet paper. Yeah, you got to strike while the iron's hot, basically. And while in the grand scheme of things, you want to measure out a certain amount so you don't burn yourself out or, like you said, deliver too much in one year and then can't sustain that the next year. I think it's better to always err on the side of trying to deliver as much as you can, while you have the opportunity, because you don't know what comes next, right? You don't know that there isn't that Destiny killer game that comes out, or there's that, that something happens in your game, or that the trends change, right? You don't know what comes next. So I do think that delivering as much as you possibly can is a better strategy. And the hope is that you would deliver such a quality product that it would invigorate new audiences and new players. And I don't know, I just see that as being the better strategy. Obviously, Destiny died doing this to some degree. So you could say, well, no, maybe we should have done one raid and one dungeon a year. And then maybe we would have another 2 years of Destiny if we had never done 2 raids and 2 dungeons a year, right? Maybe you'd be right, but I also think that those years would have been pretty boring and pretty dry in between. So I'm not sure if it's the better plan in some ways. It's hard to say, but I do know that generally in business and in capitalism, when you start seeing those big spikes, that's the time to capitalize. It's time to be like, all right, we're making a ton of money. Let's reinvest all that back in. And let's see what we can do. Let's see how high we can get up this mountain, basically. And then once you kind of achieve that peak, then you can maybe work on settling down a little bit. Unfortunately, Bungie always would go up, and then it would crash down, and then up and crash until eventually, after the final shape, it just crash once and for all. I don't think that it was over delivery. Maybe they would disagree. Maybe their budget would have been better if they had done 1 raid and 1 dungeon a year. But it was an incredible experience while it lasted, though, and it was a lot of fun. And I'm definitely thankful that we had that period of time. Looking back, I don't even know what it would be like if we only had 1 raid and 1 dungeon a year. I don't even know. It's hard to even think about what that would look like. But it definitely would hurt the population worse. So it could potentially even lead to bleeding out more players at a faster rate than what we had now. So it's like, you don't know. We might not have made, in that world, we might not have made it to the final shape. Like, it's hard to say, right?
Destiny ran at a pace it could not sustain. To realize their live service visions for Destiny, Bungie needed to release new content on a very regular cadence. To make that content, Bungie needed to hire more people. Those people needed to get paid, and unfortunately that frequency of content created a lot of problems for the game itself. Stuff was added and deleted all the time, the engine got older, the game got buggier, the new player experience became awful and confusing. They needed to slow down the pace, but they couldn't. One, because this rate of new Destiny content was now the expectation from the community, and more importantly, because they literally couldn't afford to. They needed to pay 1,600 people. Unlike a single player game that releases once and then makes enough cash.
I think you can have like contract employees, right? Where like they come on, they work on a project, they leave, right? I'm not sure if it's like 1,600 year round at all times necessarily. I don't know the exact inner workings of game development like that, or even Bungie's inner workings. Unfortunately, if we could, we'd have the actual spreadsheet of Bungie's budget. That would be really good for a topic like this. But even without it, I think that the key element here in some ways is that the West Coast of game development is really struggling right now because they charge these really expensive premium prices, the Bellevue, Washingtons that are, located next to Microsoft. We've talked about this many times before, the tech mecca up there. And the San Franciscos, right? They're charged so much. If Bungie went independent and then relocated to, fucking Kansas, relocating to Oklahoma, guys, and then, could effectively lower their overall budget costs, that would have been probably best case scenario. Sitting in Seattle, though, where you have this ridiculously high developmental costs and cost of living, right? It just didn't help the project either way. And I know it sounds ridiculous to say move to freaking Oklahoma, but like, I mean, if you're independent and you have the option to, I'm not saying you couldn't, right? I mean, instead they took all that money and they took like tens of millions of dollars and reinvested it in this like brand new headquarters and this like gigantic building that is completely empty and vacant now. Like it's completely vacant. Like it's a ghost town in that building now. So obviously that wasn't the right decision, but had they moved, all I'm saying is, had the Bungie devs put on a cowboy hat, some spurs, started kissing their cousins out there in Oklahoma, right, out there in Alabama, that's where it's at, dude. Relocate to where it's cheap, and then you can make the game forever. Think about the Destiny players themselves. We don't care where the game's made. Like, most of you didn't know or care where Destiny 1 was made back in the day. Like, you just played Destiny 1. You don't know where Call of Duty is made. I'll list off 10 games and let me know if you know exactly where all of them are made. The answer is probably no. You probably just don't care that much, right? You just want the game to be good. Whether it's made in Canada, America, the UK, Africa, it doesn't matter. Like, wherever it's made has no importance to the player. They want the game quality to be good. I think they should have went independent and they should have moved. They should have moved to someplace cheaper. Maybe back to Chicago. That's where they came from. I don't know if that's that much cheaper, but maybe the surrounding city around Chicago. That's where Bungie OGs started from. Go home, Bungie, go home.
Cushion the studio to the next release, they can't take 6 months off to fix the game. They need to give people new content so they can keep making money. Embark recently did something similar to this with Arc Raiders, saying they were going to have fewer but larger content updates moving forward, and people lost their minds. But
yes, and they lost their minds, and look at Arc Raiders now. Our creators literally said, you know what? We are going to listen to Justin Truman and we are not going to over deliver anymore. And now where are they? They're at the lowest player count ever. They announced this like around here, and it's just going down and down and down and down and down. You know, it doesn't exactly give the community this breath of fresh air or enthusiasm when the people running the game say, yeah, you know what? We were doing a lot and it was awesome. So we're just going to do like 10% of that in the future. It doesn't land very well, I think.
But Embark can get away with this because Arc Raiders was massively profitable, giving them a large cushion to fall back on. Embark only has like 400 staff, and they have some diversification in their offerings, supporting both Arc Raiders and the finals. So if Arc Raiders has a bad month, maybe the finals picks up the slack.
I don't know if that's going to happen though. The finals is kind of like a very, very small, very, very niche game. I don't think the finals is going to pick up the slack like that. The finals is picking up the slack to the same degree that Marathon is picking up the slack for Bungie.
The finals isn't looking that good. Maybe new Arc Raiders content.
Like here, I'll pull up the finals just to pull it straight. And not that the Steam charts are everything, by the way, guys, but like the finals on Steam, it has 16,000 players right now. Like this game is like, you know, it's very niche, right? Warframe's got like 88,000 people on right now. By comparison, Destiny's got like 45,000 people online right now, and that's a dead game.
That helps their finances from nosediving. Crazy concept how the same company makes two games and their corresponding communities don't bicker with one another online like jealous siblings. Anyway,
that wasn't the community's fault though. I feel like a lot of people misrepresent the Destiny community and say that they're just a bunch of jaded weirdos that don't like Marathon or created a problem that's hurting themselves. But it's really Bungie that created that problem, because notice that the finals didn't, like, imagine if the finals was absolutely crushing it. Okay. The finals is just crushing it. It's got so many players online. And then all of a sudden there's just no updates. The game is shitty. And everyone's like, what the fuck's going on? And then Embark is like, oh yeah, we're working on our new game, Arc Raiders. So like, fuck you guys. Fuck you. Good luck over there with your fucking game. You got no one on the team. Like, then the same sentiment would be there, right? Like the same sentiment of like the finals players hating Arc Raiders would exist, because they'd be like, that's the game that killed my favorite game. And so like, that's how we got there. Like whether you like that or not, like it was Bungie's own doing.
3 things I mentioned Bungie didn't have with Destiny: a cash cushion, reasonably sized staffing, and portfolio diversification to prevent the roller coaster chart, you know what I'm saying? Bungie solely relied on Destiny, and when they tried to not solely rely on Destiny, everyone assumed they were trying to replace Destiny. And there is this stigma thrown around the internet that Destiny was this infinite money glitch, but that's objectively not true. Destiny generated a lot of revenue, but revenue isn't the same thing as profit. Despite generating hundreds of millions of dollars during peak expansion launches, the cost of maintaining Destiny 2 was nearly equal to what it brought in. They needed to release content at the rate that they did. You can go back to 2021. Both Microsoft
or move to Oklahoma and pay the devs half of what they're getting paid. All right, I'm sure.
And Activision's corporate financial reviews noted that Bungie suffered from an unsustainably high burn rate. Microsoft considered buying them again and didn't because of this. Now, I will caveat, to be fair, to be objective, you know what I'm saying? We do know that at this time, Destiny 2 was not only funding itself, but also Marathon and multiple other incubation projects. Part of the reason why the studio got so big was so that they can make these other projects in addition to Destiny. We know Bungie headquarters is located in one of the most expensive places in the United States, and it's safe to assume Bungie was pushing people to return to said office because they spent millions renovating it. The community's frustration over Bungie leadership misallocating funds is completely understandable. Bungie leadership absolutely mismanaged funds. But to say that Bungie would have been raking in cash forever if they never tried to expand, stayed at 750 employees, and ignored pursuing other projects? That's an idea I cannot get behind. They likely would have survived for a longer period of time, but they would have eventually trended toward a financial crisis.
I think that's I don't think it's a very fair characterization, because what Bungie should have done is focus on making another product that complements the Destiny audience, or make content within Destiny that would help expand it and grow it. You know, they had already experimented with quite a bit. You know, they had some failed experiments like Gambit. They had some successful experiments, you know. Dungeons didn't exist in D1. They're incredibly successful and very loved in Destiny 2. Honestly, I would argue that dungeons might even be better than raids in some situations, because it offers an experience you can do as a team. It offers a solo experience, you know, like the dungeons have been an excellent addition. So taking the efforts and stuff you do in the game and trying to really listen to your audience and give them what they want would be the key. I think that instead we got Lightfall and Nimbus and all that. That didn't help. And then we got Edge of Fate, you know, this was kind of the nail in the coffin for all the mistakes of Edge of Fate. I think really that was it. That was all she wrote at that stage in time. And I understand, you know, sometimes you're making these decisions, you make a good one, you make a bad one, right? It happens. You know, look at Forsaken, for example. Forsaken, everyone says it was incredible. It was the best time ever. It saved Destiny 2, and it did. It also introduced Gambit at the same time. How crazy is that? You know? But Gambit was overshadowed by the success of all the other elements of the raid, of, you know, the Last Wish raid, which was incredible, of Dreaming City, right? The campaign, right? Cade dying. This was all incredible, like very, very well-made stuff. So I think you go that route and you go for trying to capture that magic and consistency with that more than anything. And I think what Destiny needed, can you imagine a dream world where the narrative moved and was as interesting enough and digestible enough that it felt like every season was like a Forsaken or a Final Shape, or, you know, it just felt like this like crazy journey, this crazy saga that just always got more wild. You know, we looked at the Edge of Fate narrative and we saw, you know, the 9 and the Fate saga. There was some really good silver lining there to it all. But after it all died, we found out that we were embarking on a gigantic galactic battle against the Winnower. Like, that's crazy. That's an entity that makes the Witness look like, you know, pathetic in comparison, right? Like, that's like battling that would be incredible. And conceptualizing that, it could be anything. You could conceptualize it in a variety of different ways. So it would be interesting to see if we had gone down that route. And I kind of wish we went that way, you know what I'm saying? I kind of wish we went that way, and I wish that Bungie had, I guess, gambled on another Destiny IP rather than Marathon. Even if Marathon alone was just Destiny themed, if it wasn't the space, sci-fi, goofy shit they're doing, if it was just Destiny themed alone, that would probably make it do better than what it is now. People would still like not like it. Like, there'd be some people that just don't like extraction shooters, so they would just be like, oh, Destiny 2's dead and I don't like the new extraction shooter, so I'm going to go play Warframe, right? And that's fine. Go play Warframe. But there would be plenty of people that would be like, okay, Destiny 2's dead. I don't really like extraction shooters, but they are adding this PvE mode to it, so I don't know, I guess I'll give it a try. I'll go play it, see if it's as fun, you know? I think that would have been such a better play. Of course, like I said, hindsight, we can look back, but man, that would have been, we would be in a better position right now. We wouldn't be thinking that Bungie is going to be a dead company by sometime next year.
Especially post the Final Shape. The incubation projects and office spending turned what was a slow, long-term decline into a rapid, catastrophic financial emergency that forced the Sony buyout. It sped up what was inevitably going to happen anyway without some sort of intervention. And let's talk about that Sony buyout, because it has led to a whole separate can of worms, especially now that Destiny 2's live service has ended. The $3.6 billion price for Bungie is utterly insane. Edward Kenway and Trevor are swooning at Pete Parsons for that theft. I've seen some confusion around this, so just so we're all on the same page, the $3.6 billion was not Sony injecting money directly into Destiny 2. Like, this wasn't a donation. Bungie isn't a charity. If you owned a house and I bought that house from you, you would get the money and I would get the house. I don't pay you to then own the house and then also use that money to renovate my kitchen. The $3.6 billion went to those that owned parts of Bungie. $2.4 billion of it went to buy out the private shareholders and founders, and the other $1.2 billion was locked up in employee retention bonuses. Bungie continued to rely on the revenue generated from Destiny to fund projects and pay their staff. Sony also didn't buy Bungie for Destiny 2 exclusively. Bungie was sold to Sony for its promised future portfolio and live service experience. It was
how did that work out?
A massive investment they hoped would pay off with Destiny continuing to make money, Marathon and the other incubation projects they pitched turning profits, as well as Bungie acting as a consultant to other studios within SIE on their own live service games. In reality though, Destiny 2 declined. Marathon released to critical success but has not made back its budget or retained players, and ended up costing way more than a project of that size should. The other incubation projects were banished to the Shadow Realm and made literally nothing back. And Sony's other live service ventures Bungie was helping with, such as the Last of Us factions thing, never saw the light of day either.
He did say critical success, and to be fair, the journalists and the critics did say, you know, they rated it really high and stuff, which is such a funny dynamic to Marathon. That's like the one takeaway they get from all of this is like, well, the journalist said it was really good. It's like, okay, well, it's a funny thing where the journalists can say the game's really good, but if no one's playing it, does it really matter? Like, seems like a silly hill to die on for the Marathon players, but they do be enjoying that hill.
Didn't make a penny. It was a really risky, desperate investment for Sony into live service as a whole that ultimately failed. Given the situation they were in, I don't even think Bungie's plan was that bad. The execution of said plan, though, went about as bad as you can imagine. If you have this aging game of Destiny 2, which was sometimes profitable and other times missing revenue targets by 45%, having other games in your portfolio is a good idea. Theoretically, if these other games were able to be made and maintained pretty cheap compared to Destiny, you would be better equipped to survive rough patches in Destiny through basic financial diversification.
Yes, diversifying would be a really good strategy, so that way you know the one game can fund the other, right? The two can work together. They're tethered to each other to some degree. And so it's not actually a bad idea. You do see a majority of companies do this. Look at Rockstar Games. They've got GTA and Red Dead. You know, notice how they're like similar genres, though, in a lot of ways. Like Rockstar and Red Dead and GTA, they're all like, you could see how like it's the same developer making both of them. Makes sense. And you can see the same between Marathon and Destiny with the gunplay, but the aesthetic changes so much in a way that I think is just too jarring, you know? Bungie kind of lost the plot with it. Had it been, dude, if Marathon was Destiny 2 and we went back and fought the Battle of Twilight Gap, could you imagine? Or if it was Destiny 2 and they did like the Destiny Rising thing where they, you know, go out into the multiverse, like a different timeline where, you know, the Traveler like leaves the Fallen originally, or in like a different, you know, it's not Titan Hunter and Warlock, it's something else maybe. There's so many different ways you could remix the Destiny universe and basically take this like massive audience that you've built up and launch something fresh and new and do well with it. I guess they just thought that Marathon was a better thing to jump to. Like they wanted to jump from IP to another IP, kind of like how they did with, you know, they went from like Marathon to Halo and then from Halo to Destiny. It's like, okay, well, they can't go back to Halo. Let's go back to Marathon, I guess. But it was just such a bad bet. And it kind of shows that the same team and the same group of people that made the bad decisions, that made Lightfall and Edge of Fate and all that, of course they were going to make a terrible decision on what the new game would be. Like, you kidding me? Like, of course. You think the same people that decided Lightfall are going to make a good decision on the new game? No, it was, you could see the writing on the wall very clearly years beforehand, and we had been talking about it for a long time, where these guys are not locked in, you know? They're just not locked in. And anything they touch is unfortunately going to get that touch of death. It sucks. It sucks because it would have been better if we fucking sold to Sony and then Sony like reseated the entire C-suite with a new vision of people that really wanted to see Destiny 1's success be replicated time and time again with Destiny 2. Like, that feel of Destiny 1 would have been the best scenario for Destiny 2's future, but instead we got this escape from Roblox.
You'd also be making games that don't have such a high burn rate. The idea that if Marathon did well, they'd stop making Destiny because look at Apex and Titanfall, is one of those things that sounds smart when you say it out loud, but doesn't hold up if you think about it for more than 2 seconds. It's cherry picking. Marathon was never meant to be Bungie's main game. The only scenario where it would replace Destiny is if Marathon literally became the next Apex Legends, one of the most successful live service games ever. And even that is a maybe. They wouldn't have abandoned the Destiny IP if Marathon was a moderate success. It bombing, which it did, has way more of a negative effect on Destiny. Destiny players certainly don't have to.
So then why take the gamble in the first place, right? Why take the gamble?
Like or play Marathon. I don't like Marathon nearly as much as I like Destiny. But watching Destiny players actively prey on Marathon's downfall, then cry when there's no more Destiny content, putting all the blame on Marathon and just completely ignoring Destiny's own faults, it's so embarrassing, dude. I can't even stand to watch it, honestly.
I think that the people who are roasting Marathon are roasting it and disliking it because they just don't like the game. It's not a game made for the Destiny audience, and it wasn't really intended to be. And unfortunately, its audience didn't really show up, you know? Like, Marathon dropped, and all these people were supposed to be there playing and interested, and just no one showed up. And so it's kind of a tragedy. Like, everyone can agree it's a tragedy. And you can attribute a certain portion of blame to this person, that person, etc. But it's important to understand that Bungie did have a massive audience of people that would have followed them off the fucking cliff, dude. Like, Bungie could have walked off a cliff with the most bizarre Destiny project ever, and people would have played it. You know what I'm saying? They could have made a Destiny Gooner game, and people would have been like, let's go, we're doing this. I'm playing as Marasav. You know, it's like, people would have played it, as weird as it would sound. So you had the super hardcore audience that wanted you to make more Destiny content or anything, really. They even played Destiny Rising. Think about that. Destiny Rising, a freaking mobile game with the graphics of a fucking PlayStation 2, is a really good game that fucking captivated the Destiny audience for a while. It's still great game. You go play some stuff in that, it's awesome. So if that doesn't scream to you how much the Destiny audience wants more of this IP, then I don't know what else does. Plus, you've already spent all this time with all the world building. I kind of relate it to, like, it's kind of like, imagine you spend, you know, all these years writing this like epic story, like Lord of the Rings or something, right? It's like you wrote Lord of the Rings, you wrote this crazy narrative, people are so invested, and then you're like, you know what? I'm gonna go write a whole new story. You know, it's like, people are like, no, we want more. We want to see, where does the story go? Don't leave us with a cliffhanger. You know, we're supposed to explore this area. We're supposed to see this bad guy. We're supposed to, you know, like, that's kind of where people are at with Destiny. They're like, man, there's so many stories to be told. Let's go there. Let's tell those stories, Bungie. But unfortunately, they wanted to go somewhere else and tell the stories of Tau Ceti 4.
I can't. I'm tired, boss. I'm tired of this, boss. The Destiny community and the Marathon community are like in this petty civil war on the internet, when in reality, they needed one another. And I get it. Destiny players feel abandoned, viewing Marathon as a resource drain to their favorite game, and Marathon players faced immediate hostility from a faction of gamers who wanted Marathon to fail out of spite because of how Destiny was handled. Petty. The truth is, Marathon couldn't launch without Bungie's existing ecosystem. That's a fact. But Destiny couldn't carry Bungie forever. This infighting is ridiculous. Comparing their player counts as if they're adversaries is ludicrous. You think Coke has beef with Diet Coke? They didn't make Diet Coke to replace regular Coke. They made it so that if someone out there wanted a sugar-free option, they wouldn't buy a Pepsi. Make up and kiss already, guys. I'm tired of this. The last thing I want to...
It's an interesting way to frame things, right? Diet Coke and Coke between Destiny and Marathon. I don't exactly agree with that framework, but you know, people are more than welcome to feel that way. I think that the Destiny criticism towards Marathon actually had very little significance in Marathon's downfall. The whole world played Marathon. Peanut was playing Marathon. He liked it. Countless big streamers played it. You know, people hating on a game doesn't negate the game's success. Like, look at Power World, right? Like, I would love to see the same thought process be applied to Power World. Have you seen the number of Nintendo loyalists, literal Nintendo acolytes that worship Nintendo, literally will lick their boots clean, and they will hate on everything in Power World. You stole this, you stole that. This, like, does it matter though? Look at how successful Power World is. They just made so much money. They sold like over 30 million copies. And why? Even though everyone hates that, even though all these Nintendo fanboys hate them, why did Power World do so well? Because the game is fucking excellent. The game is incredible. People wanted the game. People wanted the game Power World. No one wanted Marathon. No one wanted this game. So yeah, the game's doing shit. And yeah, the Destiny players are, you know, snickering about it because they're like, you spent all the money on that dog shit? Fucking idiots. Like, as they should. As anyone would when they watch their favorite game die. If you don't snicker as a Destiny 2 player at the failure of Marathon, then you're just like, I don't even know. I don't know if I would say you're a shill. You're just, it seems strange to me. Like, of course you would snicker, right? Of course you would. Of course you would look over and be like, scoff a little bit. Like, it's just the natural inclination you're going to come to. Like, you took all the devs away from this project, Destiny 2, one of the most iconic games all time, and you put them onto that project, Marathon. That thing that just completely bombed. Wow. How embarrassing. Like, if it was any other studio, it'd be the same thing. If it was any other situation, it'd be the same thing. Everyone would say things exactly the same. And you could say that they need both of them. And sure, maybe Bungie put themselves in that predicament. But Marathon's failure had very little to do with Destiny 2 players disliking Marathon. And mostly to do with Marathon just not being an interesting game. Like, clearly it's just not interesting. Clearly it just doesn't have mass appeal. Because if it had to do with the controversies, if it had to do with the hate or the backlash or the mean tweets or the mean Reddit posts, then the same thing would have happened to Power World. But the exact opposite has happened. Power World has massive success, even though all the Nintendo fanboys fucking hate the game. And they rage about it all day on Twitter. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. We've been talking about it all day.
Address is the future for Bungie, given how expensive Destiny was to maintain and where things were post the final shape. Ending it was the correct decision. As painful as that is to say as a longtime Destiny fan. I've seen pleas from other content creators and people in the comments basically begging for a Destiny 3. I hope I am wrong, but that just ain't gonna happen. They don't care about signatures on a petition. They don't.
Someone said, can someone smarter than me explain how Sony hasn't greenlit D3? 160,000 players on Steam alone, another 50K watching on Twitch, viral on socials. What else do they need to see from the community? That's just showing a ton of interest. I don't know that would greenlight a massive project. The problem is that Bungie is just charging such a high developmental cost for a game like Destiny 3 or even Destiny 2. That's why Destiny 2 died, because Bungie is just asking for too much money. Arc Raiders cost $75 million to make. Marathon cost $250 million. And guess which one made more money? It's pretty obvious, right? So Bungie as a company they're not very optimized, right? They're charging they have a champagne taste on a beer budget. It's not going to work for them. Like, Bungie needed to die, and Bungie is going to die. It's already happened. And then after their death, perhaps the Destiny IP can be shifted and given to new hands. And maybe it can be successful, maybe not. But truly, that's really the framework that I work in, is that Bungie is just, their vision for games in the modern context is not very good. Marathon didn't land nearly as well as it needed to. And they're just charging too much. You know what I'm saying? They need to move to Oklahoma. They need to move out there in Kansas, dude. Arkansas. That's where you go, right? In San Francisco, it's like $20,000 a head for a dev, right? Monthly expenses with overhead costs, paying their salaries, computers, you know, keeping the lights on in the warehouse or whatever, right? The fucking expensive buildings they got. That's in Seattle, or that's in San Francisco. In San Francisco, or in Seattle and Bellevue, it's like 15,000, right? In Kansas, dude, Oklahoma out there, dude, you got a dev out there for 10 grand or less, maybe. Get him out there for 8 grand. You know? Open up a new studio. If Bungie's HQ was in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, goddamn, we would have Destiny 3. We'd have Destiny 4 by now.
And they don't care about you spamming Twitch chat. Even prior to the layoffs, Bungie doesn't have the money to fund a Destiny 3. They need it from Sony, and Sony is not going to give it to them. Asking them to invest more into Destiny when they already spent $3.6 billion on the studio is insane. It would cost hundreds of millions of dollars, take numerous years. Given everything that's transpired, it's not going to get approved.
It's true that after they've already spent $3.6 billion, but it should be said that the Destiny IP does have certain value to it, right? Like, just like the Star Wars IP can shift hands, whether it's good or bad, right? Like we've seen some bad Star Wars movies. Other games, you know, Halo was once a Bungie project, and then it turned into a 343 project, and now it's made by Halo Studios. Hasn't done too well in recent years, but it can switch hands, right? We do see Call of Duty go from various different studios. Like it needs to be said that IPs have their own intrinsic value independent of the developers that make them. And Destiny does have value. Is it 3.6 billion? Probably not anymore. Let's be real. Is it 3 billion? Probably not. Is it 2 billion? Probably not. Is it 1 billion? I mean, I don't know. Maybe $500 million. Who knows what Destiny's IP value is, but it does have some value. And it, for that reason alone, there should be something made in the Destiny world by Sony in the future, because they want a return on their investment. Even though they did burn $3.6 billion, let's say, even though it's a ridiculous way of phrasing it, let's say they burnt $3.6 billion. Well, they still have a thing that is worth, let's say, $200 million or $400 million. They might as well sell it or license it or make something with it to get a return on their investment.
Do you think it's possible a Destiny 3 would be profitable? Sure, even in today's landscape, it's a popular game, but it's a lot more complicated than that. They would need to massively restructure Destiny's content model so that it doesn't have such a high burn rate. And even then, an executive doesn't ask, you know, if a project will be profitable, and if it is, then they greenlight it. They don't do that. They'll ask, what is the absolute best way to spend this money? So if Sony has $500 million they're looking to spend, do you think it's better to...
They should make another sword game. Yes. 17 more sword games this year. That's what the people want.
Put all of that into one game, Destiny 3, this high burn rate game, or several smaller, lower risk single player projects. Let's say they make Destiny 3, it costs...
The problem is that this is a logical fallacy here, because if you're the multi-billion-dollar corporation, you're not trying to make small, cheap indie things, I think. Like, look at what Xbox's strategy is doing. They're getting rid of AA stuff and they're focusing on Minecraft. They're focusing on the big AAA, the money makers, because the indie studios can make small, little dinky projects for a couple $1 million, right? And they'll be massively successful. The Mecha Chameleons, even the Power Worlds was made for less than 10 million. If you're a big, massive corporation man, right, trying to run multi-billion-dollar IPs and stuff, you want to stay in your lane that the indies can't get to, right? Like an indie dev cannot make a Destiny 3. That is not possible. It is it's too far out of their scope. So you want the thing that the indies can't take from you, because if you try to go down there and compete against those little guys, they'll beat you every time, because they're going to work harder, they're going to be more passionate, and they can get the budgets and the funding from other sources. So they'll just beat you. That's why we see these small little friend slop games and these little indie projects absolutely crush it time and time again. They make so much money, fucking Schedule 1 and all that, right? You don't want to compete against them. You want to compete in an arena where you have no competition. And that would be Destiny 3, because it would be the #1 looter shooter in its space by a long shot. Now, obviously, $500 million is extremely expensive. So you're thinking, well, what's the catch here? The catch is that you don't do Destiny 3 for $500 million. You do a Destiny 3 and you do it for $200 million. And you hire a new studio of people that don't charge super expensive salaries like Bungie. You hire a new group of people. Destiny 3 is a $200 million project, still very expensive. It's still going to be made at a really high quality. I mean, if they could make fucking Power World for less than 10 million, I should hope they could make a Destiny 3 for 200 million. And then you get the green light and then it works out. That's my opinion how it goes forward.
500 million and generates 50 million in profit. Great, right? That's a 10% return over 5 years. They could have stuck that $500 million into a standard index fund, something with basically...
Yes, Sony leaves the video game development industry and now they're just funneling that money into the stock market. What? This is okay. I get what he's saying, but this is funny.
Zero risk and returned the same amount of revenue, if not more. As a consumer and a fan of games, I hate that, but that's how it is. You know how much money Sony makes from games like Apex and Call of Duty and Minecraft and Fortnite, these ongoing games that they don't have to spend a dime on, by the way, just because people make purchases in those games through the PlayStation Store? You know how much money other studios like Insomniac make Sony because their games are exclusive and sell consoles, which then feeds those people in?
Put a Destiny 3 on a PlayStation 6 and you got me sold. Me and 400,000 people that signed that petition, at least, if not a million more.
To the PlayStation ecosystem for all future purchases. What does Bungie even offer them anymore? Marathon isn't in a good spot either. They're giving it a valiant effort. I imagine Marathon will be given its 5 or however many seasons they announced, and pending some massive turnaround, Sony will likely absorb Bungie directly into PlayStation, turning them into a tech and networking support studio for Sony's other first-party games.
No shot, dude. Bungie will be the janitors at Sony HQ. You'll be mopping up. Okay, you'll be wiping down the toilet seat after Hiroki Totoki takes a shit. That's your only future employment right now.
Since they own the Destiny IP, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to see Sony ask Nixies, a studio that has handled other console to PC ports, to make a Destiny remastered. That's a really low cost, high upside project. You know, just take Destiny 1, allow it to run at higher frame rates, add it to PC.
That's what I'm talking about, baby.
Life improvements here and there.
Shut up and take my money.
I wouldn't get my hopes up for anything beyond that, though. And again, I really do mean this, despite all of the other blunt, cold water I'm splashing on everyone's face. This is a massive shame. I would love to see Destiny get a sequel. I'd love to see Marathon do well, and for Bungie to have their other incubation passion projects and be able to pay their staff. Ironically, though, looking back, I do think if Destiny remained a game more like Battlefield or Assassin's Creed or even Madden and Call of Duty to some extent, they may have survived. I understand they started introducing live service elements while still under Activision, but it at least seems like Activision's original model was far healthier as a structure than the endless live service train Bungie left them to pursue. If you're unfamiliar, the original 2010 contract wasn't this forever singular Destiny game. It was a 10-year plan where there would be 4 Destiny games.
Where's my Destiny 4? God damn it. Look what they took from us.
2 years with a big expansion in between. I'm sure the hardcore Destiny players who are in love with their gear probably don't like the sounds of that, but a new Destiny game every few years would mean way more upfront cash for Bungie, no live service treadmill, the FOMO would be gone as the games would be preserved just as Destiny 1 is today, less technical debt on the engine, a clearer narrative arc and onboarding process, no content vaulting, and less staff to pay. I'm not saying Activision was some perfect guardian, no pun intended, keeping Bungie humble. I'm saying that the structure kept the treadmill in check. Every few years, you ship a game and you reset. Under Bungie leadership, the treadmill just keeps going. Forever. Until it didn't. But, it's all just revisionist history now, I suppose. We'll have to wait and see how it all plays out from here. Really appreciate you guys watching the video and hanging out with me till the end. Please let me know your thoughts on this entire situation down in the comments.
All right, there it is. That was Bungie Chase the Wrong Future from Timbo. And I thought he brought up a lot of interesting points. Great video from him. Drop him a sub. We'll have the link to it down below. Let me know what you think about it down in the comments. All right. All right, chat. And that is going to be a wrap for me tonight. I got to head out. I'm going to go teach jiu-jitsu at the gym. Teach the students some missions. If you don't know, I have a part-time job as a jiu-jitsu instructor. And I really enjoy it. I enjoy it. If you lived in the St. Pete area, you'd have to come train jiu-jitsu with me. Unfortunately, you all live around the world, somewhere else. So you can't train jiu-jitsu, which is pretty whack, honestly. Why didn't you guys lock in? You didn't move to Florida? What are you thinking? Instead, you chose to live in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma? Come on, bruh. That's bad spawn RNG. If you spawn in at Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, you gotta lock in and relocate for sure. What's good, Raygun? What's good, Akuma? Later, Tony Hayabusa. I'll see you guys back here tomorrow. Thanks for watching, everybody. Peace.